Chapter 1839. After looking at the devil army, Zhao Fu smiled. Now, Qin felt much more confident, and he did not feel as much fear facing the Fire Kingdom and Devilhorn Empire. Not too long after returning to the Qin Imperial Palace, news came from the underworld that they had discovered another historical remnant. The monsters inside were quite dangerous, and with Huang Quanling and the other's strength, they would not be able to deal with them. From a historical remnant, it seemed that it was a godly spirit historical remnant. Now, Qin was only 3 godly spirits away from being able to open the divine spirit door and go to the godly spirit world. Zhao Fu was quite curious about that place. Perhaps he would be able to find a large amount of time attribute items. It was quite difficult to obtain time attribute items in the underworld and heaven awakened worlds because the requirements to form them were quite harsh. However, it would be relatively easier to obtain them in the godly spirit world. For example, there were many godly spirits that controlled time, and with their abilities, they would be able to create many time attribute items. After opening the divine spirit door, they would be able to obtain time attribute items from them. That way, Qin would be able to mass-produce Philosopher's Stones, and Qin's overall strength would greatly increase. Qin's Stage 1 soldiers would also be able to become commonplace. After hearing about this, Zhao Fu quickly went to the underworld. Huang Quanling smiled as she leaned against Zhao Fu and said, "Husband, you're here. You're here." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded before asking, "Where is that historical remnant? What are the specifics?" Huang Quanling replied, "It's at a boundary region." A small faction that just submitted to the Yellow Springs Kingdom reported this information. They accidentally discovered this historical remnant, but did not have the ability to explore it, so they reported it to us. The Yellow Springs Empress and I tried the historical remnant, and the ghosts within were very powerful. There were also all sorts of restrictions, and with our strength, we could only explore it for a bit before retreating. Hearing this, Zhao Fu nodded and said, "Take me there then." Huang Quanling smiled and nodded before bringing Zhao Fu to the historical remnant. This historical remnant was located in a very deep canyon, and light could not reach this place. It was completely dark all around, and there was not even a trace of sound. It gave off a chilling feeling, making people feel quite terrified. Huang Quanling hugged Zhao Fu's arm and waved her hand, causing a blue fireball to appear, giving off a faint blue light that lit up the surroundings. The two of them continued onwards and came to the deepest part of the canyon. There was a massive bronze door here, and there was a powerful monster carved on it. It wore armor and held a saber in one hand and a sword in the other, giving off a ferocious aura. Huang Quanling let go of Zhao Fu's arm and pressed a hand on the door. A wave of power surged out from her palm and flowed into the large bronze door. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the bronze doors gave off light and a powerful aura as they slowly opened. Zhao Fu said to Huang Quanling, "You stay here, I'll go in and take a look." Huang Quanling smiled and nodded. She knew how terrifying this historical remnant was, so she did not want to go in and make trouble for Zhao Fu. After entering, Zhao Fu felt quite wary. It was a very large space inside, and the walls were made of bricks. It was quite dark inside, but Zhao Fu's eyes were quite special, and he could see things in the darkness. There were indeed many restrictions here, and not only could one not use their nation armaments, but they could also suppress one's cultivation. Zhao Fu was originally a great Earth Realm cultivator, but he was now suppressed to the Saint Realm. Moreover, with the divine bloodline weakening the restrictions, his cultivation would have been suppressed even more. Suddenly, a group of well-built monsters wearing armor and holding weapons gave off powerful auras as they rushed over. Zhao Fu's expression did not change as he took out the Emperor Killing Sword and lightly cried out, "Sword Master!" Xing! A massive wave of sword chi flowed out from the Emperor Killing Sword and spread out, bringing with it a sword wind. The 10 or so monsters gave off immense power as they leapt into the air and raised their weapons as they hacked toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu vigorously swung the sword in his hand, and a massive sword light slashed out, giving off terrifying power as it slashed forwards, cutting the 10 or so monsters into countless pieces. The surrounding monsters continuously flooded over, and Zhao Fu continuously slashed out, cutting the monsters into pieces without feeling any pressure at all. However, a while later, Zhao Fu found that something was off. The chopped-up corpses had all disappeared, and the monsters giving off powerful auras did not decrease at all. These monsters were not corporeal, nor were they created by formations. They were illusions. No wonder Huang Quanling and the others were unable to break out of this place. If they could not find the source, no matter how many monsters they killed, it would be useless. The monsters would just endlessly attack and exhaust their strength. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu sent a wave of power into the glass pupil in his left eye. The glass pupil opened and gave off a glass light, and Zhao Fu looked at the monsters. The monsters in front of him had all changed. They were no longer monsters but balls of gray gas. These were not illusions, but monsters created by a formation. Roar! 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 At that moment, the monsters gave off powerful roars as they flooded towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu sent a massive wave of power into the sword, causing it to give off boundless light. A terrifying sword chi spread out, and looking at the incoming monsters, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out. Boom! An incredibly terrifying sword energy, bringing with it the power of a thunderbolt, slashed towards the ghosts. The ghosts were slashed into countless pieces, and the ground was dyed red with blood. However, within Zhao Fu's glass pupil, the pieces of flesh turned into gas and started to condense. Soon, more monsters were formed. At that moment, Zhao Fu took out a crystal sword. This sword was called the Heaven Sealing Sword, and it had powerful sealing power. However, Zhao Fu did not use it often. An intense wave of power entered the Heaven Sealing Sword, causing it to explode out with terrifying power and give off an intense sword light. Zhao Fu held the sword and vigorously stabbed it into the ground. Boom! The sword stabbed into the ground, and a 10-meter wide magic formation giving off a powerful aura rose up from the ground. A massive sealing power gave off an unstoppable aura and instantly spread out. The countless devil ghosts ferociously charging at Zhao Fu turned into balls of black aura and were absorbed into the ground. Not a single devil ghost was able to resist, and in just a few moments, all of the devil ghosts disappeared and the surroundings became empty again. The magic formation had been forcefully sealed by Zhao Fu, and it could no longer create monsters. Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile and drew out the heaven-sealing sword. However, he left the magic formation behind and continued to seal the countless monsters. Chapter 1840. After walking for a while, Zhao Fu came before a bronze door. This bronze door was at the center of the space, and it was 10 meters tall. It gave off an ancient and cold aura, and there were countless armored and weapon-wielding ghosts carved on it. Zhao Fu went up and took a look and found that this was the source of the ghosts. This door was known as the Ghost Door, and the evil spirits that had appeared before were all products of this door. Moreover, this door was a powerful treasure. Not only did it have powerful defensive abilities, but it also had the ability to condense a large number of ghosts. It also had a ghost domain, and anyone who entered the domain would be weakened. The reason why Zhao Fu's cultivation had been weakened just then was because of this ghost door. Zhao Fu felt that this ghost door was quite useful, and he gave a trace of smile. He waved his hand and put the ghost door into his spatial ring before continuing onwards. Following this, Zhao Fu did not encounter anything else and arrived before another door. This door was the same as the one he had come from, and Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and sent out a wave of power to push the door open. Behind the door was a very large space, but the scene was a bit strange. This was because there were many bronze doors in that space. These bronze doors were 3 meters tall and about 2 meters wide. There was also a ferocious ghost carved on the door. It looked a little different. Some looked like a leopard, some looked like a human, some looked like a cow, and some looked like a man, There were roughly 1,000 bronze doors, and they stood on the ground, giving off an eerie and strange aura. Zhao Fu started to be careful. This place was evidently not simple and seemed quite strange. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu walked towards the corners of the space. The doors were all in the center, and there were no doors in the corners. If he went around, he would be able to go around the bronze doors. However, things were different to what Zhao Fu had expected. Just as Zhao Fu stepped in, the doors gave off a faint light and started to move. They lined up, and ghosts giving off powerful auras walked out. These ghosts were very powerful and all had Saint Realm strength. Now that Zhao Fu was no longer suppressed by the ghost door, his strength had returned to the Earth Realm. Facing these powerful ghosts, Zhao Fu did not feel much fear and held the Emperor Killing Sword as he walked towards them. The ghosts looked at Zhao Fu coldly and cruelly, and their bodies moved as they charged at Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast, and in just a few moments, they had arrived in front of Zhao Fu. Boom! Zhao Fu exploded out with all of his power, and a terrifying aura exploded out, bringing with it a massive gale that sent the monsters flying back. The ghosts were 10 or so meters away from Zhao Fu and surrounded Zhao Fu. Their expressions became serious as they understood how terrifying Zhao Fu was. A humanoid ghost roared and charged at Zhao Fu. It quickly reached Zhao Fu, and a ghostly claw containing immense power grabbed toward Zhao Fu, seeming to want to tear Zhao Fu apart. However, Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it, causing the Emperor Killing Sword to give off an intense sword light. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a sharp sword light slashed out, cutting the ghost in half. Swish, 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 a few ghosts quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu and gave off immense power as they started to attack Zhao Fu and Zhao Fu. A tiger-like ghost ferociously leapt at Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu kicked it away. A snake-like ghost shot out like lightning, and Zhao Fu dodged to the side, avoiding this attack. A humanoid ghost ferociously punched toward Zhao Fu, but Zhao Fu's sword gave off a sword light as he chopped off its head. A wolf-like ghost attacked Zhao Fu from behind, but Zhao Fu spun and slashed out, splitting the ghost in half. 10 or so monsters gave off powerful auras as they leapt into the air and attacked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it, causing it to give off boundless sword light. He vigorously slashed out, and a crescent containing shocking power flew out in all directions. Chi! 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 The monster that leaped into the air was directly sliced in half by the sword light, and blood splattered on the ground. Roar! 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 At that moment, the countless ghosts roared and gave off ferocious auras as they leapt into the air and sprang at Zhao Fu. Facing the countless ghosts, Zhao Fu's gaze was cold as he lightly cried out, "Celestial mode. Activate!" A celestial-like aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as a rainbow-colored aura flame appeared. A rainbow-color magic formation appeared on Zhao Fu's forehead, and his eyes gave off a rainbow-colored light as a rainbow-colored rune circle appeared. Looking at the countless ghosts charging at him, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a cruel smile and stretched out his hand towards them. A powerful wave of energy gathered in his palm, causing it to give off an intense rainbow-colored light, and he vigorously pushed out. The rainbow-colored rune circle around Zhao Fu's body gave off a terrifying power and spun a few times before giving off shocking power and instantly expanding outwards. Chi! 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 The countless ghosts were directly cut in half by the rainbow-colored light, and none of them were able to resist at all. Dismembered corpses and blood fell like rain, covering the ground, looking incredibly bloody and cruel. However, these dismembered corpses turned into gray aura that flowed into the bronze doors. Boom! 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 The bronze doors gave off powerful auras and intense ghostly lights, and ghosts once again came out. Zhao Fu's eyes slightly narrowed. Just like the bronze doors from before, these ghosts could not be killed, and he needed to find their true bodies. Swish, swish, Swish! The terrifying ghosts gave off ferocious auras and once again charged at Zhao Fu. They were different from before, and they seemed to contain a trace of power similar to Zhao Fu's. However, it was only a trace because Zhao Fu's body's power could not be replicated by anything. Seeing the incoming ghosts, Zhao Fu half squatted on the ground and pressed a hand against the ground. A massive rainbow-colored energy flowed into the ground, and a rainbow-colored magic formation appeared as the golden pupil in Zhao Fu's left eye quickly spun. Clang, clang, clang. The rainbow-colored chains gave off immense power as they shot towards the ghosts incredibly quickly. The ghosts' bodies were pierced by the chains, and they gave off pain cries. After piercing through the ghosts, the rainbow-colored chains did not stop and shot towards the bronze doors behind them, quickly binding them. The bronze doors gave off terrifying power and gave off intense light, wanting to break free from the rainbow-colored chains. The chains gave off powerful sealing power and slowly sealed the bronze doors. Chapter 1841. Zhao Fu went up and looked at the bronze door's stats, and he found that not only could they release ghosts, but they could also copy other powers. However, they could not copy powers that were too high-grade. For example, those ghosts only had a trace of power similar to Zhao Fu's and could not truly copy Zhao Fu's power. Even though they could not copy high-grade powers, they could still copy ordinary experts' powers. As long as the doors were not destroyed, the ghosts would not be able to truly kill them. Zhao Fu felt that this ability was quite good. Zhao Fu put them away and decided to go back and refine them for himself. Zhao Fu continued onwards. He still did not encounter anything, and Zhao Fu came to a massive cave. It was even darker ahead, and it gave off a faint might as well as a godly spirit's aura. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile. He could tell that there was a godly spirit ahead. After walking into the cave, Zhao Fu walked for 10 or so minutes, and he once again came to a large space. This place was tens of thousands of meters wide and 1,000 meters tall. The ground was quite empty, and there was a 100-meter-tall stage at the center. There was a throne at the top, and there was a woman sitting on it. The woman had a graceful figure and wore black armor. She had long, green hair, and her eyes were closed. She was quite beautiful and gave off a powerful aura. Her aura was also quite powerful, and she gave off a dense, godly spirit aura. There was a bronze saber stabbed into the ground next to her, which gave off a faint green light and a sharp aura. There were bronze doors floating above the space. Each door was 3 meters tall and 3 meters wide, and they gave off faint green light and auras. There were over 10,000 of them, and they looked quite majestic. Zhao Fu walked in. The woman slowly opened her green eyes and looked at Zhao Fu as she said, "Who are you? You actually dared to barge in here." Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he said, "I'm the ruler of the Qin Empire and the true ruler of the Yellow Springs Kingdom. Also, what godly spirit are you?" The woman slightly frowned and found that Zhao Fu was not simple at all. She replied, "I'm the guardian god of the Ghost Gates. You've disturbed my slumber, so please leave." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Sure, but I want to take you with me. How about you submit to me now? I'll give you everything you want." The woman felt quite angry and coldly replied, "I'm a godly spirit. How could I become you?" Zhao Fu chuckled, and his tone turned cold. "Then you can't blame me." Clang, clang, clang. Chains containing immense power shot out from where Zhao Fu was and quickly shot towards the woman. The woman's expression became cold as she grabbed the bronze saber and sent a powerful wave of godly spirit power into it. She rushed up and vigorously slashed out, causing a massive saber light to slash out, cutting the countless chains into countless pieces. Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and gave off a powerful aura as he turned into a ray of light and rushed in front of the woman. His sword gave off a sharp sword light as he slashed towards the woman. The woman raised her saber and blocked, blocking Zhao Fu's sword. Zhao Fu put the sword away and once again slashed out with terrifying power and a sharp sword wind towards the woman. The woman sent a wave of godly spirit power into her saber, causing it to give off an azure light as she vigorously slashed out. Clang! The two weapons clashed together, resulting in the sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew everywhere as a gale spread out. The woman retreated a few steps, and her expression was quite unsightly. She found that she was not a match for Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu coldly laughed as he said, "Now that you know the difference in strength between us, it's best to surrender as soon as possible to avoid suffering." The woman angrily harumphed and raised a hand. A wave of power flowed out as the bronze doors in the sky gave off azure light and gave off terrifying power as they smashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out again and again, destroying the incoming bronze doors, causing countless fragments to fly everywhere. The woman stretched out her hand and spun, causing the bronze doors in the air to give off shocking power as they smashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu once again activated celestial mode, and a rainbow-colored aura flame erupted around his body as a rainbow-colored ring of runes floated out. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and the ring of runes flew above Zhao Fu, giving off shocking power and forming a circular energy shield. Bang! 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 The bronze doors smashed against the circular energy barrier, causing massive sounds to ring out. Strong gales spread out, but the circular energy barrier blocked the countless bronze doors. The woman looked quite startled. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would be able to block the countless bronze doors so easily. Following this, the woman rushed at Zhao Fu and slashed towards Zhao Fu with shocking power. Zhao Fu disdainfully swung his sword, and a rainbow-colored sword light containing terrifying power sent the woman flying back. She crashed to the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Looking at the bronze doors, Zhao Fu vigorously pushed, and the circular energy shield sent the countless bronze doors flying. The woman got up from the ground and exploded out with a terrifying aura as she sent large amounts of power into the saber in her hand. The saber gave off a blinding saber light and an intense saber wind that spread out. Boom! The woman vigorously slashed out, and a massive saber light containing terrifying power slashed towards Zhao Fu, seeming to be able to destroy everything. Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword, and a massive wave of power entered it. The Emperor Killing Sword burned with a rainbow-colored aura flame, forming an intense sword wind. The sword wind ferociously blew out in all directions. Shing! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a massive rainbow-colored sword light, containing power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything slashed towards the woman. Bang! The two attacks collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A powerful shockwave blasted out, instantly destroying the ground. Zhao Fu's body released a rainbow-colored energy shield, blocking the shockwave. The woman was sent flying back and coughed up a large mouthful of blood, unable to even get up. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he walked towards the woman. The woman's face was pale as she cried out, "Don't come over." Zhao Fu smiled and ignored her words as he continued to walk towards her. The woman tried to stand up with great difficulty, but it seemed to be incredibly difficult. Zhao Fu walked in front of her, and a wave of energy restricted her power before lifting her up and walking out. The woman vigorously struggled as she cried out, "You bastard, let go of me." Zhao Fu did not mind and continued to walk outside. He planned to bring her back to Qin before subduing her. Soon, Zhao Fu walked out with the woman's body. Chapter 1842. After returning to Qin City, Zhao Fu quickly ordered people to help the goddess of protection repair the temple and carve a statue before throwing her inside and saying, "I can now give you a large amount of faith power. Will you consider submitting to me?" The goddess of protection coldly harumphed. Even though she was quite tempted by faith power, she would not easily submit to Zhao Fu. Moreover, Zhao Fu's attitude towards her was quite bad. She was a godly spirit, a high and mighty godly spirit who was respected by countless people, and no one had ever treated her like this before. Seeing her like this, Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Do you really want me to use certain methods to make you submit? The goddess of protection coldly looked at Zhao Fu without any fear. Zhao Fu did not do much either. He waved his hand, and a few chains shot out, binding the goddess of protection's hands together and hanging her up. He first used his god-killing power to turn into lightning and hit the goddess of protection's body. The god-killing power could suppress godly spirits and could cause great pain to godly spirits. The goddess of protection hung in the air, enduring the pain, and looked stubbornly at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had never thought that she would endure such intense pain and not submit. Zhao Fu did not use his god-killing power and opened his hand, causing 6 orbs of demonic qi to float around his palm. Zhao Fu smiled as he walked towards the goddess of protection. The goddess of protection had a bad feeling and hurriedly called out, "What are you doing?" Zhao Fu did not reply and walked in front of her. He stretched out his hand and pressed against her abdomen, causing the 6 orbs of demonic qi to flow into her body. The goddess of protection's face immediately became red, and she started to pant. Now that she knew what Zhao Fu had done to her, she angrily cursed, "Perverted thief!" Zhao Fu ignored her and smiled as he looked at her. In the end, the god of protection's reaction became more and more intense. His face turned red, and his body twisted in the air. There was already a puddle of water on the ground. In the end, the guardian god begged Zhao Fu for mercy and was willing to submit to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he sealed the 6 desires demonic qi and started to ask about her. She was the guardian god of the Ghost Gate, and she was actually a door god, a type of Ghost Gate god in the underworld. She received relatively little faith, and most people did not pay much attention to her. She was mainly in charge of guarding a certain place, and she had great defensive power. Zhao Fu also understood. No wonder there were so many bronze doors in the ruins. It turned out to be a ghost door god. At the same time, the Ghost Gate god also mastered the method of making the bronze door. With her help, Qin could also make the bronze door. Zhao Fu also felt that developing her power would be of great use to Qin. After all, she was the Ghost Gate god and could build bronze doors. Zhao Fu could use her power to increase Qin's defensive power. Zhao Fu looked at the Ghost Gate god, whose face was still red, and he smiled as he said, "I said that if you surrendered earlier, you wouldn't have to suffer." The Ghost Gate god did not say anything. She had never thought that she would choose to submit to Zhao Fu. She could only blame Zhao Fu for being too despicable. Zhao Fu continued to smile as he said, "In the future, you can stay here and absorb faith power. I'll also send a few god messengers over. Don't worry, submitting to Qin will be of great benefit to you." The Ghost Gate god turned her face away, not wanting to see Zhao Fu's expression. Seeing this, Zhao Fu felt quite displeased and walked forwards. The Ghost Gate god immediately said in fear, "This god understands and will listen to Qin's orders. Don't use that kind of method against this god." After going through that kind of torture, not only had her body been destroyed, but her mind had also been destroyed. Thinking about doing it with the man in front of her, she felt quite afraid. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a satisfied smile and turned to leave. Seeing Zhao Fu leave, the Ghost Gate god let out a sigh of relief. Following this, a few beautiful ghost race women came up and knelt. They were the god messengers. Following this, many of Qin's residents came to pay their respects and provide faith power. Sensing the endless faith power, the Ghost Gate god felt quite delighted. She turned into a ray of light and shot into the statue, quickly absorbing the faith power. Zhao Fu returned to the Qin's imperial palace. After taking care of some matters, he thought about how he could deal with some matters in the underworld. Before, the 4 factions of the underworld had allied together to attack the Yellow Springs Kingdom, but they had failed. The Ghost Tiger Kingdom in the west had been destroyed by the Yellow Springs Kingdom, but there were still 3 factions that had not been dealt with. Back then, because Qin's forces had been quite tight and it had devoured all of the factions in the west, it had obtained a large number of people and resources. As such, Zhao Fu had stopped attacking those 3 factions. Now that so much time had passed, the Yellow Springs Kingdom had completely digested the Western factions, and there were no battles in Qin. There were no battles in the Heaven Awakened world, the Outer World, or the Alchemy world, so they could send out forces to destroy those three factions. The Yellow Springs Kingdom's population had reached 40 billion or so, which was as big as two worlds. Now that they had digested the Western factions, their population had reached 50 billion, and their territory was as big as 2.5 worlds. If they could destroy those three factions, the Yellow Springs Kingdom's forces would greatly increase. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu quickly led his soldiers to the Yellow Springs Kingdom. After coming to the Yellow Springs Kingdom, Zhao Fu did not immediately act and instead investigated the situation of the three factions. Ever since their last defeat, the three factions had adopted defensive measures. Not only had they built tall and thick defensive walls, but they had also roped in more factions to join them. Now, each faction had 3 billion soldiers, and the three factions had a total of 9 billion soldiers. The Yellow Springs Kingdom originally had 4 billion soldiers, and after devouring the Western factions, it had gained another billion soldiers, making it 5 billion soldiers. This time, Zhao Fu had brought 3 billion soldiers. Even though it was not as many as the other side, Zhao Fu had brought many beasts, so the Yellow Springs Kingdom was in an advantageous position. Zhao Fu immediately made preparations to attack. He split his forces into 3 groups and simultaneously attacked the 3 factions. The various factions of the Yellow Springs Kingdom also started to move, providing resources and preparations for this battle. This allowed the army to fight at full strength. With such a big movement, the 3 factions immediately noticed it and fell into panic. Ever since they had lost last time, they had been worried that the Yellow Springs Kingdom would attack, and now it had finally come. However, the 3 factions did not have the same opinion. Some felt that they could not defeat the Yellow Springs Kingdom, so they wanted to see if they could ask for peace and give up some benefits in exchange for their safety. Others insisted on fighting. They understood the Yellow Springs Kingdom's ambitions and would not let them off. Only by fighting would they have a trace of safety, and they felt that the situation was advantageous to them. Chapter 1843. The people on both sides started to move, gathering a large number of soldiers to defend the defensive walls, and some people also sent people to ask for peace. Zhao Fu did not refuse and receive them. When these people came in and saw Zhao Fu, they felt quite surprised. They knew that the Yellow Springs Kingdom had a terrifying faction supporting it, and that faction was from the Heaven Awakened world. They did not know what the relationship between the Yellow Springs Kingdom and that faction was. It could be a partnership or a subsidiary, or perhaps that faction was the true ruler of the Yellow Springs Kingdom. Seeing that it was Zhao Fu who received them while the Yellow Springs Queen just stood by his side, they could deduce that the Yellow Springs Kingdom was either a subsidiary or a puppet controlled by that faction. They had thought that they would be able to see the Yellow Springs Queen and had brought 100 or so handsome men, and they had planned to share them with the 12 Yellow Springs Queens. However, it seemed that the high and mighty Yellow Springs Queen was also that faction's plaything. They naturally did not dare to say that they were going to give up the handsome men. However, even if they did not say it, Zhao Fu already knew because they had brought the 100 or so handsome men to the Yellow Springs Kingdom. Zhao Fu sat at the top and said, "What do you want? Hurry up and say it." There were 3 messengers below, and they were all middle-aged. One of them bowed to Zhao Fu and smiled as he said, "We have no intention of fighting with your powerful Yellow Springs Kingdom, so please don't start a war. We will satisfy all of your requests." Zhao Fu could not help but feel a chill in his heart. Back then, they had attacked first, and if it wasn't for Qin, the Yellow Springs Kingdom might have been split up by them. Now that they were facing the even more powerful Yellow Springs Kingdom, they were saying that they did not want to fight and that they would let them off this time. How could there be such a good thing in this world? Zhao Fu did not show any expression and smiled as he said, "What I want the most is naturally your 3 factions' population and territory. As long as you're willing to submit to the Yellow Springs Kingdom, I'll definitely treat you well. However, if you dare to resist, you'll know the consequences." The three people looked quite troubled. They definitely could not agree to this request. The messenger said, "Sir, we can't do what you want. Apart from this, what else does Sir want?" Zhao Fu's expression turned cold as he shook his head. The three people's hearts sank, and they dryly laughed as they said, "We're willing to immediately go back and pick over 10,000 beauties, treasures, and resources to give to our people. Sir, please reconsider." Zhao Fu was no longer interested in them and said, "You can all go back. I have only one request: submit or perish." The three of them returned to their factions with ugly expressions. At the same time, Zhao Fu started to attack, not giving them any time to breathe. The three armies gave off massive auras as they flooded towards the three factions like three ferocious floods. Zhao Fu led the soldiers in charge of attacking the east. The other two armies were handed over to the Yellow Springs queens and the generals to attack. On the other side, the three armies gathered on the city walls, waiting for Zhao Fu's army to attack. Both sides did not have much to say. Zhao Fu immediately launched an attack. Xiao xiao xiao. Arrows containing great power quickly flew out, drawing arcs in the air as they shot towards the city walls like a torrential downpour. Charge! Qin's soldiers roared and gave off terrifying auras as they flooded forwards. Boom! A massive aura spread out on the defensive wall as a massive blue energy barrier containing immense power appeared. Bang! 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 The countless arrows that were shot over were either deflected or broken, falling down like rain. Swish, swish, swish on the defensive side. The Mountain Charm Kingdom shot out arrows, which contained immense force as they flew towards Great Qin's soldiers. They were densely packed and formed a black mass. Great Qin's army exploded out with shocking power, giving off countless rays of black light that formed a black barrier in front of them, blocking all of the incoming arrows. Zhao Fu looked at the firm defensive barrier and ordered his soldiers to push out countless ballistae. Arrows that were as thick as fingers were placed on the ballistae, and there were talisman stones embedded into them. Boom! 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 The arrows turned into countless rays of light as they shot out, bringing with them an incredibly sharp aura as they shot towards the city walls. They were incredibly fast, leaving behind white traces and bringing with them strong gales. Bang! 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 A series of loud sounds rang out as the streams of light collided with the barrier. The barrier cracked open and then completely shattered with a bang. The instant that the massive defensive barrier shattered, Qin's soldiers grasped this opportunity and shot out arrows towards the city walls. The expressions of the Shan Mei Kingdom's soldiers became quite unsightly. They had paid a great price to make this defensive barrier, yet it had been destroyed so easily. However, they had made preparations, and a massive power once again spread out. Massive blue magic formations appeared on the city walls, and Inchi quickly flowed in, causing the blue magic formations to give off intense blue light as round blue shields of light appeared. Bang! 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 The countless arrows that Qin's soldiers shot out were once again blocked by the shields of light and fell to the ground. Zhao Fu slightly frowned and did not continue to use talisman arrows, as he did not have many talisman arrows to begin with. Looking at the blue shields of light, it seemed that the Shan Mei Kingdom's defensive measures were quite powerful. Following this, Zhao Fu ordered the army to condense their soldier qi. If they were not afraid of the shields of light shattering, they would not be able to break through the city walls. Boom! An explosion sounded out as countless Qin soldiers gave off a black aura, forming a large black saber that gave off an intense saber light and a terrifying power. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as countless traces of black aura condensed, forming an enormous fireball that gave off an intense heat. A heat wave spread out, seeming to be able to incinerate everything. Boom! Another explosion sounded out as countless traces of black aura gathered, forming an enormous snake. Its eyes gave off a cruel and cold gaze, and its body gave off a might that could cause people to feel fear. Massive creatures gave off powerful auras as they floated in the sky above the army, causing the weather to change and clouds to swirl. Under the control of the army, the countless massive creatures gave off shocking power as they ferociously charged at the city walls. Boom, boom, boom. The Shan kingdom could predict what Zhao Fu was thinking, and the countless Shan soldiers exploded out with their power. Countless traces of blue aura flowed out, forming terrifying massive creatures. Chapter 1844. Bang! Bang! The massive objects gave off shocking power as they collided together, resulting in massive sounds. The collisions caused gales to spread out, causing trees to sway and rocks to fly into the air. Many soldiers were affected by the shock waves and fell backwards. Now that the two massive beasts clashed, shocking shock waves exploded out, but the blue shield of light could not be broken. If the blue shield of light could not be broken, Qin's soldiers would not be able to attack the other side. With the shield of light blocking them, they would not be able to charge up the city walls, while the Mountain Charm soldiers would be able to attack Qin soldiers. The Mountain Charm Kingdom's soldiers smiled. The situation was in their favor. They had already stopped Qin's attacks, and if they could hold on for a while longer, they would definitely be able to win. Qin's soldiers would not be able to keep attacking. Roar! 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 Massive beast roars sounded out, shaking the surroundings. This caused the Mountain Charm Kingdom's soldiers' expressions to fall, and they looked towards where the roars were coming from. They saw 100-meter-long beasts giving off terrifying auras, seeming to be able to destroy everything as they rushed towards them. There were ferocious birds flying in the sky, massive spiders, and ferocious wolves. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and directly released the Qin beasts, planning to destroy the blue shield of light. The Mountain Charm Kingdom's soldiers' expressions were quite unsightly. Facing so many terrifying beasts rushing at them, the Mountain Charm Kingdom's soldiers could not help but feel terrified, and their bodies trembled. Fire! The Shanmei Kingdom's general roared, and the soldiers drew their bows to their limits. Arrows containing immense force shot out, looking like black blurs as they shot towards Great Qin's beasts. Facing the incoming arrows, the Qin beasts exploded out with terrifying power. An aura flame burst out from their bodies, causing wild gales to spread out. The arrows that were shot out with great force were first weakened by the strong wind, and then they were blocked by the flames. Most of the arrows were unable to hit the beasts. Only some of the more powerful soldiers were able to hit the beasts, but they were not very effective. Bang! 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 The ferocious beasts gave off shocking power and massive auras as they smashed against the blue shields of light, giving off massive sounds as the blue shields of light started to tremble. The hearts of everyone from the Mountain Charm Nation sank. If these beasts continued to attack, the blue light shield would definitely be broken. They understood that it was impossible for the Yellow Springs Kingdom to possess such terrifying beasts, as it had only been established for a few years. It was impossible for it to nurture such terrifying beasts, and these beasts were definitely from the Yellow Springs Kingdom supporters. Was this the power of the supporters? They were simply too terrifying, and they were definitely a terrifying faction in the Heaven Awakened world. However, they couldn't just stand by and watch as the Qin beasts broke through their light shields. Boom, boom, boom. They also took out their final trump cards. Countless people dressed in robes gathered together and raised a hand as a massive aura burst forth. Massive pillars of gray light containing shocking power shot into the sky, giving off massive sounds. Massive amounts of yin qi gathered in the surroundings, forming thick dark clouds that covered the sky, and a massive cold wind blew out. Zhao Fu knew what the Mountain Charm Nation was going to do, so he ordered the beasts to quickly attack the blue light shield. After receiving Zhao Fu's order, the countless beasts exploded out with even more ferocious auras and madly smashed against the blue light shield. The blue light shield continuously trembled, and some cracks appeared on it. Arg! Howl sounded out in the sky as 100-meter-tall ghosts that looked like humans and beasts appeared from the dense clouds in the sky, giving off cold and eerie power as they charged at the Qin beasts. Facing the countless ghosts, the Qin beasts gave off shocking power and fearlessly charged over. Boom! 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 The two sides started a ferocious battle, resulting in massive explosions and terrifying shockwaves. Swish, swish, swish! At that moment, countless Qin soldiers shot out powerful arrows that tore through the air. The countless arrows quickly hit the blue light shields. The arrows contained immense power as they hit the blue light shields, causing more and more cracks to appear on the blue light shields. The Mountain Charm army felt quite startled and quickly started to attack the Qin soldiers. By now, great Qin shield bearers had already gone up, giving off powerful auras as they raised their shields, forming a shield wall that blocked the countless arrows. Swish, swish, swish! The Qin soldiers once again shot out countless arrows, bringing with them immense power as they slammed against the blue light shields. The blue light shields were now covered with cracks and were about to shatter. In the sky, the massive creatures formed from soldier auras fought, and the Qin army gradually gained the advantage. This was because the Qin army was a complete army, and the massive creatures formed from soldier auras were more powerful and more cohesive, as well as pure. On the other hand, the Mountain Charm Kingdom side was a faction led by the Mountain Charm Kingdom and had all sorts of soldiers. As such, their soldier auras naturally could not compare to those of the Qin army. It was not just in terms of soldier auras. Even though the ghosts that the Mountain Charm Kingdom summoned were incredibly ferocious, the Qin beasts had experienced countless battles and were even more ferocious. Moreover, the beasts had corporeal bodies, while the ghosts had no corporeal bodies. Arg! The ghost howl sounded out as a ghost was bitten by a massive wolf, and its body was torn apart, turning into ghostly chi and dissipating. A spider used its blade-like legs to cut open the ghost's body, causing it to dissipate into ghostly chi. An eagle-like beast swooped down, its claws giving off ferocious power as it pierced through a ghost's chest, causing it to turn into ghostly chi and dissipate. The Mountain Charm people's faces became pale because they understood that they were not a match for the Qin soldiers. It was only a matter of time before the ghosts and creatures in the sky were destroyed by the Qin soldiers. Bang! 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 The arrows landed on the blue light shields, causing the blue light shields to shatter and give off massive sounds. Now, the Mountain Charm Kingdom was completely defenseless and was completely exposed to the Qin soldiers. Kill! The Qin soldiers roared and gave off a terrifying aura as they flooded towards the city walls and started to attack. Even though the Mountain Charm Kingdom side did their best to counterattack, the Qin soldiers quickly reached the city walls. Chapter 1845. The ferocious beasts gave off ferocious auras as they swooped down from the sky. Their massive bodies brought with them wild gales, sending countless people flying. Their claws tore apart Mountain Charm soldiers' bodies, looking incredibly terrifying. The 100-meter-long spiders were quite afraid of the defensive walls, and their blade-like legs rushed into the army of soldiers, tearing apart their bodies. No one could stop them. The massive wolf rushed up the defensive walls and savagely looked at the soldiers. It bit many soldiers' bodies to pieces and swung its claws, tearing apart many soldiers' bodies. The Qin soldiers who had rushed up the defensive walls started to ferociously slaughter. A Qin soldier held a saber and vigorously slashed out, sending out a saber light that sent a Mountain Charm soldier flying. A Qin soldier vigorously stabbed out with his spear, killing another Mountain Charm soldier. One of the Mountain Charm soldiers vigorously resisted and stabbed his sword into a great Qin soldier's chest. However, he was immediately killed by a saber strike. A Mountain Charm roared and gave off a powerful aura as it held a spear and vigorously rushed at a Qin soldier. However, before it could attack that soldier, an arrow pierced through its chest. A Qin soldier savagely laughed as he held a massive axe and vigorously slashed out, sending out a sharp cold light and splitting two mountain charm soldiers in half. Cries continuously sounded out on the defensive walls as blood sprayed everywhere, dyeing the defensive walls red. There were corpses everywhere, and the scene was incredibly gruesome. It was like a scene of carnage, and there was a bloody and nauseating stench. Soon, the Mountain Charm Army's defensive line did not collapse, and the soldiers started to retreat in terror. The leaders understood that they had lost and quickly retreated. The faction they were facing was simply too terrifying. They did not have the strength to defend against such a terrifying faction, so they could only run. The scenes on the other two sides were similar. The beasts wantonly slaughtered on the defensive walls, devouring or tearing apart corpses, while the Yellow Springs soldiers ferociously slaughtered their enemies. Cries continuously sounded out as blood flew everywhere. People continuously fell to the ground, and the ground was covered with corpses. The Yellow Springs Empresses gave traces of smiles as they attacked the two factions. Kill! The two armies gave off incredibly ferocious auras and were unstoppable as they flooded into the two factions. Terrified screams sounded out, and the commoners understood that they had lost. The Yellow Springs Kingdom soldiers had already charged in, and countless people ran in terror. Some hid in their rooms and trembled. The two armies charged into the two factions and continuously conquered the regions, and Zhao Fu's side did the same. However, Zhao Fu's army was even faster. Not only had they conquered one city after another, but they had also directly attacked the capital of the Mountain Charm Kingdom. Qin soldiers in black armor barged into the houses of the commoners and dragged out all the people who were hiding. They made them kneel on the side of the street. If anyone resisted, they would be killed with a single slash. There were also some Qin soldiers who were hunting down some commoners who were running. Cold lights flew out, killing those commoners, and spears pierced through their chests. There were also some commoners who were running away who were blocked off in a corner. Arrows containing immense force shot out, piercing through their bodies and causing blood to fly everywhere. Those commoners all died, and not a single one was able to survive. By now, the Mountain Charm Kingdom's capital was no longer as prosperous and peaceful as it had been before. Cries and cries could be heard everywhere, and blood spurted everywhere. There were corpses lying on the ground, and an aura of despair spread out. A mournful cry sounded out as a manly young man was hung at the entrance of a house. His clothes had been taken off, and a Qin soldier was currently peeling off his skin from his neck. This young man had just resisted and killed a Qin soldier, so he had to be punished. His family was also dragged out, and there was a wife, an elderly father, and a 5-year-old boy. They were all hung next to the young man, and their skin was peeled off, revealing bloody muscles. The screams of the children, women, and elderly people became even more ear-piercing, and they could not help but feel pity. The neighbors kneeling next to the family felt cold, and their heads were lowered. Their bodies trembled in fear, and they did not dare to do anything. They were afraid that they would end up like that family. There was even a child next to them who was so afraid that tears continuously flowed out of his eyes. He wanted to cry out, but his mother covered his mouth and pressed down on his head, not letting him move at all. This was because she knew that if she let him cry out, the Qin soldiers would go up and kill him, and their family would die. At that moment, Zhao Fu was leisurely walking on a street. The ground was in a mess, and there were some fruits and vegetables, as well as some clothes, stones, and wood. He looked at the commoners kneeling on the side of the street. Because of their extreme fear, their bodies continuously trembled, and they did not dare to move or make a sound. Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile and did not pay them any mind as he slowly walked towards the Shan Kingdom's palace. The commoners knew that there was a person walking past them, but they did not dare to look up because they knew that this person was the cruel and inhumane commander of the soldiers. He was an existence even more terrifying than murderous demons, and even though he did not give off any aura, he made them feel even more fear. "Sir, do you still remember me?" Just as Zhao Fu reached a rather grand house, a man knelt on the ground and said carefully. Hearing this, Zhao Fu looked over and found that it was the envoy from before, and he smiled and nodded. The man said in delight, "Sir, I'm willing to submit to you, and I know quite a bit about the palace. I'll tell you anything you want to know." Zhao Fu thought about it and said, "Follow me then." After saying this, Zhao Fu walked forwards, and the man hurriedly got up from the ground and gave a flattering smile as he followed by Zhao Fu's side, telling him about the kingdom's treasures and how beautiful the empress and princess were. Zhao Fu did not mind too much, and he came to the Shan Mei Kingdom's palace. The guards here were all Qin soldiers, and there were large amounts of blood on the ground. However, there were no corpses, and it seemed that the corpses had been temporarily taken care of. Zhao Fu did not mind much, and he walked towards the palace. Some people were already kneeling in fear, and when Zhao Fu arrived, they were all ministers of the Shan Mei Kingdom, and they had submitted out of fear. Zhao Fu smiled as he walked to the top and sat on the golden throne, looking down at the people below. The ministers hurriedly bowed and greeted Zhao Fu. Chapter 1846. After a while, reports came that Qin soldiers had not only conquered the entire Shan Mei Kingdom, but they had also conquered the entire north side. The north side was now the Yellow Springs Kingdom. Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile and waited for news from other directions. Soon, news came that they had conquered those regions. At this moment, he could announce the end of this war. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at the ministers standing timidly in the hall and said, "Since you've submitted to me, I won't mistreat you. Follow the army back to the Yellow Springs Kingdom." The ministers all let out sighs of relief and knelt down to thank Zhao Fu for not killing them, and they praised Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had them leave and ordered people to bring in the women from the royal family. There were about 40 or so women in total. Among them, 3 of the women were the most beautiful. One was tall and slender, and she had light green hair. She gave off the aura of a motherly figure, and the other had a seductive figure and beautiful face. The third was slim and had a cold face. She had long black hair and wore a white dress, and she was very beautiful. Now, the women all looked at Zhao Fu with hatred or fear. The messenger next to Zhao Fu smiled as he introduced them, saying, "Sir, that's the #1 beauty of the Shan Mei Kingdom. That is our Shan Mei Kingdom's #1 beauty and also our empress. The second beauty is also a famous beauty and is our imperial concubine. The third beauty is our kingdom's eldest princess." "Sir, I'm right. They're all very beautiful, and the other princesses' imperial concubines and princesses are all top-notch beauties." Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and nodded. He did not say anything else and gave the order to return to the Yellow Springs Kingdom. Great Qin's soldiers gathered all of the treasures, resources, and beauties and placed them on carriages and transported them to the Yellow Springs Kingdom. There were many of them, and the entire northern side was about half the size of a world, so it looked quite majestic. After returning to the Yellow Springs Kingdom's Great Hall, Zhao Fu smiled in satisfaction as he listened to the reports from all sides. They conquered the Yellow Springs Kingdom from 3 different directions, gaining 10 billion people from each direction. In total, they had 30 billion people. The Yellow Springs Kingdom already had 50 billion people, and with 30 billion people, it had 80 billion people. They were only 20 billion away from 100 billion people. Other than that, there were also countless resources and treasures, and there was no need to go into detail. After conquering all the factions in 3 directions, the Yellow Springs Kingdom's territory greatly increased. Now, the Yellow Springs Kingdom's territory was as big as 4 worlds. After obtaining so many people and territories, the next step was to properly digest them. After dealing with these matters, Zhao Fu returned to Qin City and stood on a high platform. Below the high platform stood many women. They were densely packed, and it was impossible to count them clearly. These were all underworld women that he had just brought back from the underworld. Zhao Fu held an imperial edict, and his expression was calm as he said, "Today, we will confer upon all of you the title of concubine." Just as he spoke, The black and gold imperial edict in Zhao Fu's hand turned into countless rays of black light that shot into the beautiful women's bodies. Countless traces of golden phoenix qi flowed out of their bodies, forming golden seas of qi that ferociously flowed toward a certain direction. Scree! A massive phoenix cry sounded throughout the entire Qin Empire. On the 1,000-meter-tall Black Heaven prayer platform, a crystal phoenix absorbed countless traces of phoenix qi and gave off a phoenix cry. Countless traces of golden light spread out from the heaven prayer platform, and a massive aura spread out. The crystal phoenix gave off intense golden light and turned into a 50,000-meter-long phoenix that flew into the sky. The heaven and earth spirit qi quickly flowed into the golden phoenix's body, and the massive phoenix gave off a powerful aura. Countless traces of golden light spread out, covering the sky and slowly covering the entirety of Qin City. The people from the Fire Kingdom, Devil Horn Empire, Alliance, and Second Eolan Empire all sensed this aura. The horizon became golden as a boundless, noble, and stable aura flowed out. Within the Fire Kingdom's territory, Li Baiqing frowned and said, "What is Qin doing to cause such a great disturbance?" Su Yin said seriously, "That power is Phoenix Qi. I don't know what method Qin is using to cause such a great disturbance, but the surrounding fate is gathering towards Qin City, and Qin City's fate is increasing." Li Baiqing's expression became cold. If Qin City's fate continued to increase, the Qin Empire would become even more powerful, and it would be even more difficult to destroy it. Suddenly, Li Baiqing thought of something and said, "Was this the reason why Qin City took countless women into his harem and made them concubines?" Su Yin nodded. Back then, the Qin Empire captured many women and took them into its harem, most likely using their Phoenix Qi to increase Qin City's fate. No wonder Qin City's fate was so powerful and stable back then. It's not what everyone thinks. Qin City's emperor is licentious and has taken in all of Qin City's beauties. This has always been Qin City's goal. Now, this Phoenix Qi is simply too great and has covered 9 worlds. I wonder how many women have gathered to have such a massive amount of Phoenix Qi. Li Baiqing's expression was cold. He could not replicate Qin City's method because he was still living under someone else's roof and did not even have true military power. If he dared to betray that princess, he would die a horrible death. A trace of savageness appeared on the Devil Horn Empire's Yao Ming's face as he said, "I can't lose to Qin City. Since Qin City has such a massive amount of Phoenix Qi, the Devil Horn Empire must have it as well. Send out my orders. All women with Phoenix Qi are to be made concubines." An elderly minister said, "Your Majesty, it's not as you think. It's not what you think. Look, the Phoenix Qi has already gathered into a ball. The fluctuation is caused by this ball of Phoenix Qi. This is also the most crucial point." Yao Ming looked quite startled as he asked, "Tell me in detail." The elderly minister explained, "Phoenix Qi is beneficial to a kingdom and can stabilize an empire's fate and strengthen the empire's foundation. However, there can't be too many of them. If there are too many concubines, even though there will be a lot of Phoenix Qi, they will devour the empire's fate. Not only will there not be any benefits, but it will also cause the empire to quickly decline and perish." I don't know what method Qin used to become immune to this kind of backlash, but he gathered countless traces of Phoenix Qi to give off those ripples. Without this method, if your Majesty wants to be like Qin City, it will be a great threat to the Devil Horn Empire. Yao Ming coldly harumphed, "My Devil Horn Empire must find this method and cannot fall behind Qin City. I'll leave this matter to you." Chapter 1847. The Alliance people looked at the golden sky in shock and sensed that vast, noble, and stable aura. This aura is simply too great. What kind of terrifying things is Great Qin doing to cause such terrifying ripples? I heard that there are countless beauties in Qin's imperial palace, and all of this Phoenix Qi comes from those women. There are so many of them. Even though my reputation is not good, I actually want to be like Qin's imperial prince and collect all of the beauties in the world. Every time I conquer a faction, I'll capture their women and enjoy them. Those empresses and princesses are especially attractive. Qin has suddenly given off such massive ripples. I'm afraid that Qin has done something big recently. If the cursed lands disappear, do you think Qin will be able to resist the attacks of the two factions? I'm not sure. We don't know what Qin has up his sleeves. Right now, Qin's fate is quickly increasing and becoming more stable. It will be quite difficult to destroy him. I think we'll know what will happen when the two factions destroy the cursed lands. However, for Qin to cause such massive ripples at such a critical moment is quite exciting. Qin is definitely using some demonic arts. As a woman, I actually want to join Qin and fuse with his phoenix chi. Qin, that bastard, only knows how to harm women. We can't allow such a faction to exist. Ha! I also envy Prince Qin's imperial prince for having so many concubines. Let's not talk about this. I feel that Qin is becoming more and more dangerous. We'll see after the cursed lands are destroyed. If those two factions can't destroy Qin, I might join them. I don't think that's necessary. Let them attack each other, and we'll collect the spoils of war in the end. Outside the palace, Feng Xinsha hugged a beautiful woman as she looked to the side. There were 10 or so handsome men squatting there like dogs with a leash around their necks. The beautiful woman in Feng Xinsha's arms lightly laughed as she said, "Your Majesty." Judging from the huge amount of phoenix chi in the Qin Empire, there are countless beautiful women. If your Majesty breaks through the Qin Empire, those women will all be your Majesties. For example, Great Qin's most famous figures: the Queen of Knights, Tina Pendragon; the Lord of Devils, Masanori Hanno; Great Qin's minister, Li Muqing; the 4 female generals, the Demon Spider Queen Elise; the 3 business geniuses, Ba Qing, Xiao Yuan, Su Yanran, and the imperial teacher, Xinru. Feng Xinsha gave a domineering smile. I've long since taken a fancy to these women. They'll be mine one day. However, now is not the time. I need to wait for a suitable opportunity. Now I also want to have a few more imperial concubines to strengthen and stabilize the fate of the Second Wind God Empire. Unfortunately, although I am the female emperor, I can't have more imperial concubines like Qin. At this moment, looking at Qin's phoenix chi causing such a huge fluctuation and the strengthening and stabilizing effect, I am really a little envious. I wonder how Qin did it. Hearing that Feng Xinsha wanted to have a few more imperial concubines, the beautiful woman looked quite worried. Feng Xinsha smiled and lifted her chin, saying, "Don't worry, you'll always be my favorite empress." The beautiful woman immediately gave a brilliant smile and hugged Feng Xinsha. She suddenly thought of something and said, "Your Majesty, I'm quite curious. If Qin made an empress, the effects of the phoenix chi would be even stronger. Why hasn't Qin had an empress yet?" Feng Xinsha thought about it and smiled as she replied, "I don't know either. Who knows what Emperor Qin is thinking and why he hasn't made an empress." The beautiful woman nodded in Feng Xinsha's embrace. Feng Xinsha lightly laughed as she said, "Now that Qin's phoenix chi is giving off such a huge fluctuation, perhaps he'll do something big soon. Perhaps the danger he's facing will be resolved, so we should make some preparations as soon as possible." The beautiful woman smiled as she said, "Then I'll help your Majesty. Our race is quite powerful." Feng Xinsha smiled and nodded as she hugged the beautiful woman and walked to the side. The 10 or so handsome men beside her crawled like dogs and followed behind Feng Xinsha, fawning smiles on their faces as if they were pets trying to curry favor with their owner. Within Qin's capital, Princess Qingmu and Jiu Shaoyan looked at the massive golden phoenix in the sky in shock. Sensing the boundless power that it gave off, everyone seemed as small as ants in front of it and could not resist at all. This power was even greater than that of a royal kingdom's nation armament, and everyone could not help but feel shocked. A royal kingdom's nation armament had the support of 10 worlds and was incredibly terrifying. How could this phoenix be even more powerful than a royal kingdom's nation armament? In terms of aura and might, It did not lose out to a royal kingdom's nation armament at all. Princess Qingmu and Jiu Shaoyan had long since heard that Qin was not simple at all and was very dangerous and mysterious. Now that they had seen it for themselves, they were truly shocked by the Emperor Phoenix statue. This was the Qin Empire's method. It actually had such terrifying power. What other terrifying methods was Qin hiding? Thinking about that, Princess Qingmu and Jiu Shaoyan stopped looking down on Qin and became serious. They felt even more curious about Qin. They were sure that Qin was not as simple as it seemed. At the same time, they felt quite glad that they had stayed and not left like everyone else. Otherwise, they would not have been able to see such a shocking scene. At that moment, the massive golden phoenix elegantly flew in the sky, and there were countless birds of various sizes following in the sky, covering the entire sky and giving off clear and pleasant cries. Countless traces of golden light fell on the ground, and the first to benefit were the countless women within Qin's imperial palace. Traces of golden threads descended from the sky and fused into their bodies. The traces of golden threads turned into a warm energy that spread through their bodies, and the women felt their bodies go through changes. Some impurities were expelled, and they looked younger, and their skin became smoother and supple. Moreover, their aptitudes had also been greatly improved. Now, none of the women had low aptitudes. Most importantly, they had grasped a type of power, which was called Phoenix power. It was a very high-grade power. Not only could this power make them powerful, but it could also make them more beautiful and younger. In fact, if this power was powerful to the extreme, they could be reborn like true phoenixes. Chapter 1848. Now that Zhao Fu stood on the stage, he felt a massive baptism of power. As the owner of the Emperor Phoenix statue and the owner of the countless concubines, the power Zhao Fu received was even greater. Countless golden threads flowed into Zhao Fu's body, causing Zhao Fu's body to give off a golden light and give off a massive aura. Images of phoenixes appeared around him. Zhao Fu felt a searing power spread out from his body as his body started to go through changes. Even though Zhao Fu's bloodline was now extremely high grade, this power was much more useful to Zhao Fu. Suddenly, a powerful aura spread out as a pair of platinum-colored wings spread out from Zhao Fu's back. A silver-white dragon tail grew out, and platinum-colored scales appeared on Zhao Fu's skin. This was the white golden dragon phoenix within Zhao Fu's body. It was absorbing the massive amount of phoenix power, causing Zhao Fu to have even more phoenix power and the ability to undergo nirvanic rebirth. Apart from Zhao Fu and the concubines, the countless residents of Qin City were also bathed in the golden light and received many benefits. Some of the illnesses and injuries gradually disappeared, and their minds became better. They no longer felt depressed or sad and were instead filled with optimism, causing the residents to smile. Within the ocean, a deep blue power was slowly gathering and continuously going through abnormal changes. Deep underground, a yellow power was also intensely gathering and continuously going through abnormal changes. Within a volcano, a red power was continuously going through abnormal changes. Within a valley, a green power was continuously gathering and going through abnormal changes, and the fire-colored power in the sky was also slowly gathering and going through abnormal changes. These were all disaster powers, and once they gathered to a certain degree, they could cause terrifying natural disasters. Moreover, these powers were all hidden in extremely hidden places, and ordinary people would not be able to detect them unless they also had disaster powers. However, even they would not be able to detect them 100% of the time. There was only a slight chance of finding them. Normally, only after natural disasters erupted would they know where the source of the disaster was. However, the golden light covered the entire world. The power of the calamity slowly dissipated before the golden light, not leaving any behind. However, even though this was a good thing for others and was something that they really wanted, Qin didn't need it. This was because he needed to condense countless calamity pearls. Without natural disasters, how could he condense calamity pearls? Apart from these, countless grains, vegetables, and fruits had also undergone changes. The golden light shined down on the rice paddy, and the withered rice paddy, yellow leaves, and sickly branches all changed. The rice paddy gradually became more vigorous, and the yellow leaves became a deep green. The sickly appearance disappeared, and they became filled with life. The golden light shone on the countless vegetable fields, and the yellowing leaves and blackening roots of the vegetables slowly disappeared. The leaves became emerald green, and the roots were filled with vitality. The golden light shined on the countless fruit trees. Some of the bare branches grew lush green leaves, and some of the thin fruits slowly became plump and full. Some of the sickly trees regained their vitality. Apart from Qin, it wasn't just the women in the underworld outer world who felt a wave of golden energy enter their bodies, causing their bodies to go through changes. The soldiers in the underworld, outer world, and alchemy world also felt a wave of energy enter their bodies, causing their injuries to gradually disappear and their strength to slightly increase. The Emperor Phoenix statue had obtained countless traces of Phoenix Chi and once again became stronger. This greatly affected all of Qin. Whether it was the residents, soldiers, territory, flowers, or trees, they all received benefits, and its power was quite shocking. In fact, in some aspects, it was even more powerful than ordinary nation armaments. Moreover, the Emperor Phoenix statue wasn't weakened because of the changes in the heavens and earth. In fact, it didn't change at all, and it was still just as powerful. After the changes in the heavens and earth, countless powers have been weakened, including nation armaments, and nation fate. The reason why the Emperor Phoenix statue's power hadn't been weakened was because it didn't rely on the heavens and earth. No matter what happened to the heavens and earth, it wouldn't be affected. What affected it was the countless women's Phoenix Chi, which was the Emperor Phoenix statue's core power. Without those women's Phoenix Chi, the Emperor Phoenix statue wouldn't have any power. However, as long as those women weren't affected, the Emperor Phoenix statue wouldn't be affected either. This was an advantage. The women were all in the Qin Imperial Palace, so they wouldn't be affected, and the Emperor Phoenix statue's power would continue to be powerful. A while later, the light and aura around the massive phoenix in the sky gradually weakened, and its body gradually became smaller. In the end, it landed on the Heaven Prayer platform and turned back into a crystal phoenix statue. The golden light in the sky disappeared, and the countless birds scattered, and the heavens and earth became calm again. The platinum-colored wings and dragon tail on Zhao Fu's back had disappeared, and his aura had also dissipated, returning to normal. Zhao Fu grinned. He was naturally the one who had benefited the most from the Emperor Phoenix statue's upgrade. His power, bloodline, lifespan, constitution, and other stats had all been greatly increased. At the same time, Zhao Fu had grasped the Phoenix's power, and it wasn't an ordinary Phoenix's power, but the Phoenix King's power. It was a power that only a Phoenix King had, and it was far more powerful than ordinary Phoenix's power. After coming down from the stage, the beauties around the stage all looked at Zhao Fu with fear or hatred. Most of them had not come willingly and had been captured by Qin, and some of their relatives had died at the hands of Qin soldiers. However, after being attracted by the golden light, the beauties could not feel any fear or hatred toward Zhao Fu, and they instead felt like relying on him. This was naturally the effect of the Emperor Phoenix statue's power. Your Majesty, there were also some women who were willing to go to Great Qin, and they smiled and bowed, looking quite flirtatious, wanting to receive Zhao Fu's favor. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded, but he did not say anything else and ordered people to take these women away to settle them down. After returning to the palace, Li Si came in and said with a smile, "Congratulations, Your Majesty." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The Emperor Phoenix statue's increase in power had greatly benefited Qin, and had benefited all of Qin. Qin's fate had greatly increased, and it had become more stable. This was something to be happy about. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu told Li Si to make preparations and celebrate at night. Li Si accepted the order with a smile and left. Chapter 1849. Now, the Emperor Phoenix statue had become one of the most important items to protect Qin. After seeing its power, Zhao Fu received many reports about the benefits that Phoenix Qi had brought to Qin. What made Zhao Fu happy was that the growth of crops had greatly improved. Although it had not recovered to its previous state, the number of disasters had been greatly reduced. At this moment, a guard came up and reported, "Your Majesty, the princesses of the Greenwood Kingdom and the Wine Cloud Kingdom tried to break into the areas of Qin that are not open to the public. Now, they have been stopped. They said they want to see you." Zhao Fu chuckled and thought for a moment. "Then let them in." The guard acknowledged the order and turned to leave. Then, Qing Mu walked in angrily. Beside him was Jiu Shaoyun with a smile. Qing Mu too glared at Zhao Fu. "Why are you stopping me? Can I just go in and take a look? I'm the princess of the Greenwood Kingdom. How dare you treat me like this?" Ever since they had seen the huge Emperor Phoenix, they had been very curious about Qin. They thought Qin's big secrets must be hidden in those places where outsiders were not allowed to enter. Maybe they would find something amazing. The two of them wanted to sneak in quietly, but with Qin's army guarding the place and all kinds of formations and restrictions, it would be easy for them to be discovered. Hearing Qing Mu's words, Zhao Fu said with a smile, "That place is forbidden to me, Qin. Of course, I can't let you enter. My purpose is very clear. I will not submit to anyone, nor will I accept an unfair contract. You can go back now." Princess Qing Mu said somewhat angrily, "You actually rejected such an opportunity to marry this princess? Moreover, you could even wait for the Greenwood Kingdom to put you in an important position. You actually rejected it? You'll regret it in the future. Also, I don't want to leave." Jiu Shaoyun smiled and said, "Since your Majesty doesn't want to cooperate with us, it doesn't matter. We'll wait for your Majesty to change your mind at any time. I think the scenery and customs of Qin are not bad, so I want to stay for a few more days. Your Majesty, please allow me." Zhao Fu thought about it and nodded, not making things difficult for them. After all, they were the legatees of two royal kingdoms. Princess Aoki snorted and reminded him, "Let me tell you, many kingdoms want to subdue you and put pressure on you. You'll come back to me sooner or later." Zhao Fu's expression turned serious as he replied, "I know about this." Mu Qingmu did not say anything else. She turned around and left. Jiu Shaoyun also turned around and left with a smile. Now, they wanted to know more secrets about Qin, so they wanted to go back and collect all the information about Qin. It would be best if they could find out everything about it from its appearance until it ruled the 9 worlds. Watching them leave, Zhao Fu had a headache. If so many countries really put pressure on Qin, he might not be able to bear it. However, there was no need to think too much. As long as Qin had enough time and enough strength, those kingdoms would not dare to do anything rashly. Following this, after taking care of some administrative matters, Zhao Fu looked through all sorts of things, such as nurturing flying swords, creating war god's fury, nurturing evil flower seeds, the gold alchemist race's research, and nurturing blood demon snake mosquitoes. After returning to Qin, Zhao Fu received 2 more pieces of news. 3 god temples have been discovered in a row, 1 in the heaven-awakened world and 2 in the outer world. Zhao Fu could not help but feel delighted because he was only 2 godly spirits away from opening the god spirit door. When that time came, Zhao Fu would be able to head to the godly spirit world. And now, he had discovered 3 temples. There was 1 more temple than he had expected. After hearing about this, Zhao Fu headed to the God Temple. The first God Temple he went to was the Heaven Awakened World God Temple. It was a God Temple that he had found in the deep sea in the fish scale world. After coming to that place, Zhao Fu found that the God Temple was in a large mountain at the bottom of the sea. It looked quite run down, and some places had collapsed. Water plants had grown out, and there were some small fish swimming around. After entering the God Temple, it was completely dark and the space was quite small. However, there was no water inside, as there was a barrier that kept the seawater outside. There was also a powerful aura within. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Fu sensed this aura, he would have thought that this god temple was just an abandoned structure. Zhao Fu continued onwards. At that moment, squid rushed out and swam in the air. They were 3 meters long and were blood red. They gave off powerful auras, and all of them had stage 3 or stage 4 strength. The squid rushed out and started to attack Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression was somewhat disdainful as he held the emperor-killing sword and swung it. A sharp sword light, containing sharp power, slashed out, splitting all of the squid's bodies in half. Their corpses littered the ground, and blood burned the ground. Zhao Fu continued onwards. Squid continuously rushed out, and they became stronger and stronger. However, facing Zhao Fu, they were unable to retaliate at all and were easily killed by Zhao Fu. The ground was covered with squid corpses. Finally, Zhao Fu came to a very large space that was over 10,000 meters wide. It looked like a large hall and was surrounded by walls. At the top was a circle, and there were some blurry pictures on them. At the center of the space lay a squid that was dozens of meters long. It was dark red and seemed to have 3 eyes. It seemed to be sleeping on the ground and gave off a powerful aura. This aura was the aura of a godly spirit. There were not just humanoid godly spirits. There were also beast-shaped godly spirits and other strange shapes. This was the squid god. Zhao Fu did not dislike beast-shaped godly spirits, so he planned to subdue it. However, when he opened the godly spirit door, this squid god would not be able to join, as the others were all humanoid godly spirits. At that moment, the squid god sensed Zhao Fu and slowly opened its 3 blood-red eyes. It viciously looked at Zhao Fu and exploded out with a terrifying aura as it rushed towards Zhao Fu, seeming to be able to destroy everything. Zhao Fu's gaze became slightly cold. This godly spirit did not seem to have much intelligence and only had savage instincts. There were indeed godly spirits like this, but even though they had godly spirit power, they did not have any intelligence and were like wild beasts. Facing the ferociously charging squid god, Zhao Fu raised his sword and softly said, "Sword Master." Xing! A massive wave of sword qi exploded out from the emperor-killing sword, forming a sword wind that spread out. Bang! Facing the ferociously charging squid god, Zhao Fu slashed out, sending out a terrifying sword energy that sent the squid god flying back and crashing to the ground. A massive gash appeared on the squid god's body, from which blood continuously flowed out. Roar! Chapter 1850. Seeing this, Zhao Fu lost interest in subduing the squid god because it was so ferocious and had no intelligence. Even if he subdued it, it would not be very useful. Boom! A powerful aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as Zhao Fu did not hold back and used his true power. The squid god's body gave off blood-red light, and ghost-like images appeared around it. They gave off mournful howls and charged at Zhao Fu with the squid god, creating a chilling scene. Zhao Fu sent all of his power into the sword, causing it to give off boundless sword light and shocking sword wind to spread out, giving off an incredibly dangerous feeling. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out, and an enormous black sword light containing destructive power slashed towards the squid god. The squid god gave off countless ghost-like images and gave off a terrifying aura as it rushed at Zhao Fu. Bang! The two sides clashed, resulting in a massive explosion. The countless ghost-like images were shattered by the sword light, and the massive squid god was sent flying back. It crashed to the ground with a massive gash on its body, from which blood spurted out. After suffering such heavy injuries, the squid god could barely stand up. Its body gave off blood-red light as its injuries started to slowly recover. At that moment, Zhao Fu appeared in front of it, and the squid god shot out its tentacles, bringing with it a ferocious force. It shot toward Zhao Fu. Boom! Zhao Fu disdainfully coldly laughed and once again vigorously slashed out, slashing apart the tentacles and sending the squid god flying. Following this, Zhao Fu unleashed a few more attacks, killing the squid god. He cut open its body and took out a blood-red finger-sized crystal. This was the squid god's divinity. Divine deity was a very precious treasure. Although this squid god was not very strong, its divine deity had many uses, such as making all kinds of destructive weapons or giving it to Zhao Fu to swallow. Within Zhao Fu's mind was a divinity, and it was a darkness divinity. Back then, he had devoured a demon god's divinity, and after continuously developing it, he had condensed this divinity. It was very likely that it would be the most important item for awakening the god race's Emperor Star. He would keep this divine spark for now and deal with it later. As for the squid god's corpse, Zhao Fu also put it into his storage ring with a wave of his hand. When he returned, he could ask Chef to make a feast. As a divine spirit-level squid, it should taste good. After dealing with this god palace, Zhao Fu went to the primal chaos world because there were 2 god palaces here. They arrived at the first shrine, which was located in a valley. It was made of white bricks, and it looked quite dilapidated. Some parts of it had collapsed, and the surroundings were filled with weeds. There were even a few insects and beasts. After arriving here, Zhao Fu sensed the godly spirit's aura here. It was the aura of the heaven-awakened world, and he gave a trace of a smile. Before, Zhao Fu had been worried that it would be a godly spirit from the primal chaos world. Even though it was a godly spirit, it did not belong to the same world, and its power was different. As such, it would not be able to open the divine spirit door. After coming here, the insects and beasts sensed Zhao Fu's aura and immediately ran away in fear, as Zhao Fu's aura was simply too terrifying. After Zhao Fu entered the god palace, a stone door appeared in front of him. This stone door was 10 meters tall, and there was a handsome-looking man carved on the left side and a beautiful woman carved on the right. They gave off powerful, godly spirit auras, and there were protective restrictions on the door. If one wanted to enter, they had to destroy the restrictions. Zhao Fu took 5 or 6 steps back and took out the Emperor Killing Sword. A terrifying wave of power entered the sword, causing it to give off intense sword light and a terrifying sword energy to spread out. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out, and a massive wave of sword energy containing shocking power slashed against the stone door, resulting in a massive sound. The stone door gave off a powerful aura and gave off intense light, blocking the terrifying sword energy. The terrifying sword energy gradually weakened and was blocked by the light, but the light from the stone door also became much weaker. Boom! Zhao Fu once again slashed out, and a terrifying sword energy containing shocking power slashed against the stone door. The stone door once again gave off an intense light, blocking the sword energy. In the end, the sword energy was once again blocked by the intense light, and the light became much dimmer. Boom! 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 Zhao Fu continuously swung his sword, sending out terrifying sword energy that gave off sharp auras as they continuously slashed against the stone door. The light that the stone door gave off continuously blocked the sword energy, and the light became dimmer and dimmer. Bang! A massive sound rang out as a powerful sword light slashed against the stone door, causing it to be blasted into countless pieces. After finally destroying the protective restrictions, Zhao Fu directly entered the depths of the God Palace. It was not dark inside, and it was quite big and exquisite. The ground was made of smooth stone bricks, and there were murals on the walls. There were also some carvings at the top, and there were a few gems embedded into them, giving off light that illuminated the surroundings. Zhao Fu looked at them, but did not pay them much mind, and continued to walk into the God Palace. At that moment, countless soldiers charged out from within. These soldiers were dressed in dark red armor and were expressionless. They gave off powerful auras and did not say anything as they directly attacked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression did not change because these soldiers were all very weak. He casually slashed out, and a sharp sword arc flashed out. Chi, chi, chi. The countless soldiers' heads were chopped off, and blood spurted out as countless headless corpses powerlessly fell to the ground. After killing these soldiers, Zhao Fu continued onwards. A while later, another stone door appeared in front of him. This stone door was the same as the previous one, but the protective restrictions were even more powerful. Zhao Fu did not say anything and slashed out with his sword. The stone door gave off an intense light as it blocked. Boom! 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 Zhao Fu continuously swung his sword, sending out terrifying sword lights that slashed against the stone door. Massive sounds rang out as a gale spread out. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the stone door was once again slashed open, turning into countless pieces of rubble that shot out. The scene inside appeared before Zhao Fu's eyes. It was a circular hall. Zhao Fu walked in and saw that there were beautiful murals on the walls, but there was nothing. There was only a 100-meter-tall platform with 2 red wooden coffins on it, and they gave off powerful, godly spirit auras. Looking at the 2 coffins, Zhao Fu did not dare to be careless. He waved his hand, and a formless energy swept out, lifting the 2 coffins. However, there was no reaction and nothing happened. Chapter 1851. After looking at them, Zhao Fu came before the female god's corpse and pressed his hand against her head. A wave of energy flowed out of his hand and entered the female god's corpse, and he sensed some things. Zhao Fu checked if there was a divinity within the corpse, and if there was any remnant of a soul within the divinity. It was not easy for godly spirits to die, unless one directly blasted them into dust and destroyed their divinity. They would not be able to revive. Otherwise, they would be able to revive again. This was because they would fuse a portion of their soul into their divinity. As long as their divinity was not destroyed, they would not die. Even if they were heavily injured or if their bodies were already dead, they could enter a deep sleep and use time to slowly recover and revive again. Zhao Fu examined the female god's corpse and found that even though her body was dead, her body still had a divinity, and the divinity contained a soul. This meant that the female god had not truly died and only needed a large amount of power to revive. Zhao Fu then went to the male god's corpse and examined his body. The situation was the same. In order to prevent anything unexpected from happening, Zhao Fu used sealing power to seal the 2 god corpses before putting them into his ring. Finally, Zhao Fu came to a god hall within a mountain cave. Zhao Fu entered the cave and came before a coarse god hall. This god hall was made of large rocks, and there were 2 stone statues at the entrance. They were of 2 tigers and looked quite ferocious. The god hall's doors also had restrictions, and they felt quite thick. However, they were weaker than the stone doors from before. Zhao Fu stood in front of the stone doors and sent a large wave of power into the Emperor Killing Sword. The Emperor Killing Sword gave off an intense sword light, and a massive wave of sword chi flowed out, bringing with it a massive sword wind. Boom! He slashed out with his sword, and a massive sword light containing destructive power slashed onto the stone door, causing it to shatter and turn into countless pieces of rubble that shot out. Zhao Fu walked into a passageway that was 20 meters wide and 700 meters tall. It was completely dark ahead, and Zhao Fu had no idea what was inside. Zhao Fu continuously advanced through the passageway. Roar! Roar! Tiger roars could be heard coming from a front. Then, a group of black tigers charged out ferociously. These black tigers had black fur and green eyes. They also had 2 fangs in their mouths. After charging out, they ferociously glared at Zhao Fu and quickly charged toward Zhao Fu. There was some disdain in Zhao Fu's eyes because these black tigers were not as strong as the previous soldier. Zhao Fu casually swung out a few sword lights and killed many of the black tigers. Leaving behind a field of corpses and blood, Zhao Fu continued forward. Finally, they came to a large cave. This cave was thousands of meters wide and hundreds of meters tall. It was surrounded by black rock walls, and there was a platform in the middle of the cave on which a woman was lying. This woman had a fiery figure and a pair of tiger paws and a tiger tail. She was quite beautiful and wore beast hide armor. She gave off a ferocious aura and a powerful godly spirit aura. The woman in front of Zhao Fu was a beast god and a tiger goddess. Zhao Fu walked over and thought that it was another godly spirit corpse. However, the woman opened her eyes and stood up from the platform. She looked at Zhao Fu furiously and wanted to attack Zhao Fu. However, sensing Zhao Fu's terrifying aura, she stopped. I don't want to become enemies with you. There's nothing good here, so please leave. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and said, I don't want anything. I just want you. Leave with me. The tiger goddess said angrily, I won't give it to you, nor will I leave with you. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and asked, Are you sure? The tiger goddess coldly replied, Yes. I know that you're very powerful, but I won't submit to you so easily. Swish! Zhao Fu's body disappeared and appeared in front of the tiger goddess in the next second. The tiger goddess was given a big fright, and before she could react, Zhao Fu heavily punched out, hitting her abdomen. The tiger goddess flew back dozens of meters and crashed to the ground, coughing up a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu coldly laughed as he said, With your strength, you won't be able to resist me. It's best for you to submit to me. The tiger goddess coldly harumphed and exploded out with a powerful aura. A black aura flame appeared around her body, forming a massive black tiger that gave off a terrifying might and could make people feel terrified. Giving off this terrifying aura, the tiger goddess quickly rushed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not even use his sword and instead clenched his fist, causing a massive wave of divine power to explode out. A black aura flame covered his fist, and a savage and domineering black dragon appeared behind him, giving off a powerful aura. The tiger goddess quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu and clawed at Zhao Fu. The black tiger behind her roared and gave off shocking power as it leapt at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a cold smile as he vigorously punched out. Roar! The black dragon behind him gave off terrifying power and a powerful aura as it rushed towards the tiger goddess. Bang! The black tiger and black dragon collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A black shock wave spread out, causing the ground to crumble. Zhao Fu stood there unscathed, but the tiger goddess was sent flying back and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. It was as if a few of her bones had been broken, and she did not even have the strength to get up. Seeing that she had lost the ability to fight, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he walked towards the tiger goddess. The tiger goddess looked furious and tried to get up from the ground, but she was unable to do so. Zhao Fu walked to her side and sent a restriction into her body, restricting her power before carrying her body and walking out. The tiger goddess struggled as she cursed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu ignored her and brought her back to Qin City, and he quickly ordered people to build 2 god temples. One of them was for the woman, while the other was for the tiger goddess. He also ordered people to carve statues of them according to their appearances. Zhao Fu did not have any plans to nurture a male godly spirit. If the male godly spirit that he had obtained from the second god temple did not have the tiger goddess, he might have been able to open the godly spirit gate. However, now that he had the tiger goddess, he did not need him anymore. After the god temples were built, Zhao Fu first tamed the tiger goddess and made her obedient as Qin City's godly spirit before dealing with the other goddess. For example, a deity with a dead body would need something that contained a large amount of life force or a large amount of faith. Chapter 1852. After successfully reviving the goddess, she looked quite wary when she saw Zhao Fu. She asked him why he was here, who Zhao Fu was, and where her husband was. Zhao Fu simply told her that he had opened the historical remnant, and that he was the king of the human world. Moreover, her husband was in his hands, so she had to obey him or he would kill her and her husband. The goddess quickly submitted and asked Zhao Fu to let her see her husband. Zhao Fu agreed and released her husband's coffin. Seeing her husband, the goddess felt much more at ease and smiled. Zhao Fu asked her about some things and obtained some information about her. This goddess was a starry goddess and had the power of the stars. Her husband was also a starry god. Following this, Zhao Fu left because the tiger goddess and the starry goddess needed to recover their power before they could open the god spirit gate. After 4 or 5 days, with a massive amount of faith from Qin, the two goddesses and the previous goddess, the ghost gate god, had recovered some of their power and could open the god spirit gate. Zhao Fu couldn't help but feel quite delighted. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time, and it was finally going to happen. He gathered 24 goddesses. Water goddess, light goddess, elf goddess, dark goddess, god of fallen angel, demon goddess, agriculture goddess, ghost god, Naga goddess, evil god, desolate god. The 24 goddesses came to a massive platform that was 10,000 meters wide and had 24 sides. It was only 9 meters tall and was made of black metal or was a material that could be used to forge equipment, and Zhao Fu had found it to strengthen the god spirit gate. There was a massive magic formation engraved on the platform. It was white and looked quite mysterious and complicated. Zhao Fu had asked the talisman master to engrave this magic formation according to the method given by Emperor Stream, which was the golden dragon in his body. The 24 goddesses each stood on one side, and the ghost god stood in the middle. Because she had the most powerful divine power out of all the goddesses, she was even more powerful than Erisina, the god of fallen angels, so she was in charge of this magic formation. Zhao Fu stood beside her and said, "Let's begin." The ghost god nodded seriously and looked at the huge white formation on the ground. Then it slowly closed its eyes. The other goddesses also slowly closed their eyes. Their bodies emitted a faint glow of different colors. Some were yellow, some were blue, some were black, some were white. They slowly spread out their hands, and a massive godly spirit aura spread out. Godly spirit power started to flow into the white magic formation, and the white magic formation absorbed the goddess's power and gave off an intense white light. Boom, 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 boom. The goddesses opened their eyes and rays of divine light shot out as powerful waves of godly spirit energy exploded out of their bodies, turning into massive pillars of light that shot into the sky with shocking power. 24 different colored pillars of light formed from the ground to the sky, and a massive godly spirit aura spread out like a flood. The surrounding heaven and earth energy frantically gathered together. Winds and clouds surged as a terrifying ripple spread out. The people nearby all felt a chill run down their spines from the shockwaves, and they all looked in that direction. Princess Qing Mu and Jiu Shaoyan were currently at a restaurant in Great Qin's imperial capital. They had ordered a pair of delicious dishes, and they had been bickering like normal. They had been bickering as usual, but they suddenly sensed this terrifying ripple and could not help but feel quite startled. They went outside the window and looked at the source of the ripple. Princess Qing Mu looked quite serious as she said, "This Qin is not simple. He caused such a huge ripple before, and now he's causing such a huge commotion. Just where are they hiding?" Jiu Shaoyan walked over to her side and looked quite serious as she said, "Before, our understanding of Qin was only the surface of Qin. We did not know what he truly contained. However, from the current situation, it seems that Qin is far more mysterious and powerful than we thought. We should report this matter to our higher-ups and have them pay more attention to Qin." Princess Qing Mu nodded in agreement. Then, she turned to look at the godly spirits. Heaven and earth energy continuously flowed into the 24 pillars of light, causing them to explode out with terrifying power. They rushed upwards, and a massive wave of godly spirit power seemed to flow into the sky. On the ground, a magic formation gave off intense light, forming a white magic formation. This magic formation continuously rose up along with the pillars of light before reaching the sky. The surrounding heaven and earth energy continuously flowed into the magic formation, causing it to give off intense light and ripples before fusing into the air. Now that this magic formation was connected to the godly spirit world, Zhao Fu could use this magic formation to directly enter the godly spirit world. The 24 goddesses withdrew their power, and the pillars of light disappeared. The abnormal signs disappeared, and the heavens and earth returned to normal. The ghost god gave a trace of a smile as she said, "Husband, the godly spirit door has already been opened." Zhao Fu felt quite happy and smiled as he nodded. He then told the goddesses to go and rest while he prepared to head to the godly spirit world. While Zhao Fu was away, Li Si was in charge of internal affairs, and Bai Qi was in charge of military affairs. The women were quite reluctant to see Zhao Fu go to the godly spirit world, as they did not know how long Zhao Fu would be gone for. However, they understood that they could not stop him, so they could only allow Zhao Fu to stay with them for a night. The next day, Zhao Fu prepared all sorts of things and went to the black stage. He had 2 goals this time. The first was to find time attribute items, and the second was to see if he could awaken the God Race Emperor Star. Now, Zhao Fu only had the Water Race, God Race, and Spirit Race's Emperor Stars that he had not awakened yet. If the God Race's Emperor Star awakened, Zhao Fu would have 7 Emperor Stars, and his bloodline and fate would become even more powerful. Zhao Fu did not know how to awaken the Water Race and Spirit Race's Emperor Stars, but Zhao Fu had some ideas. The core item was the divinity in his mind, and it was possible that he would be able to awaken the God Race's Emperor Star during this trip to the godly spirit world. Of course, things were not so certain, and it was possible that he would not be able to awaken it. The most important goal this time was to find something with time attribute items. After confirming these 2 goals, Zhao Fu once again went through the things he had prepared before activating the magic formation. Chapter 1853. The deep blue sky was filled with fluttering white clouds, and the bright sunlight shined down on the ground. On a lush green grassland, a valiant-looking young man knelt with his hands crossed and said devoutly, "O glorious godly spirit, I beg you to save my father." Suddenly, a white magic formation appeared on the ground, and a black-cloaked figure appeared in front of the young man. The young man looked quite confused. He had only come to pray and had never thought that a person would appear. Moreover, this person's aura was that of a godly spirit. The young man immediately excitedly kowtowed and said, "Greetings, Lord Godly Spirit." Zhao Fu did not come to his senses and looked at the young man kneeling in front of him. Because he had come to the godly spirit world, the divinity in his mind had become quite lively and gave off a godly spirit aura. Now that he had appeared here, Zhao Fu did not know anything, so he could only rely on the young man in front of him to find out. As such, he said, "Rise." The young man nervously and excitedly stood up and looked at Zhao Fu with hopeful eyes as he said, "Lord Godly Spirit, did you hear my prayers and come to save my father?" Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and thought back to how the young man had prayed. He understood what was going on, but he did not reply and instead asked, "Where is this place?" The young man had not expected Zhao Fu to ask this question, and he looked quite surprised. However, he quickly came back to his senses and replied, "This is Langdong City's grassland." Zhao Fu frowned and asked, "Where's Langdong City? Tell me more clearly." The young man could sense that Zhao Fu was quite displeased and said nervously, "Langdong City is a city in the Yuli region, and it belongs to the Jade God." Zhao Fu continued to ask, "Tell me about this place first." The young man felt quite confused as to why a godly spirit like Zhao Fu did not know about these things. He did not dare to think too much and obediently told Zhao Fu about this place. There were no kingdoms or sects in the godly spirit world, but there were godly factions. Each faction had at least one god. As the master of the faction, each faction divided the divine spirit world into pieces. The people living in them had to pray to the gods 3 times a day in the morning, afternoon, and evening to provide enough faith power for the gods. There would also be wars between the gods, mainly to compete for more territory and people's faith. The other gods did not have much need for it. This was the Jade God's territory, and the Jade God was only a small, weak, godly spirit, and it only controlled 5 or 6 regions. This place was also the periphery of the divine world. If it was in the middle or the depths of the divine world, there wouldn't be such a weak divine spirit. Even if there was one, it would only be a lowly divine spirit. Finally, there was the young man's identity. The young man was called Takemi, and he was 17 years old. He was the child of a shepherd, and his father had accidentally offended an official in the city, causing him to be imprisoned. Takemi had no choice but to come to this place to pray. Coincidentally, Zhao Fu had appeared here. Here, the godly spirits were not omnipotent. They could only give you blessings, reduce pain, and help you recover. These are the main things that ordinary godly spirits did. They did not care about other things. For example, if someone wanted to kill you, it would not work. If you were hungry, it would not work. If you were lost, it would still not work. Even if it was a small matter, the godly spirits could do it, but they did not have the ability to respond to every believer's request. This was because there were millions of people, so the godly spirits would not respond to these requests. However, in order to increase the faith of their believers, the godly spirits would occasionally respond to the prayers of some lucky people. This way, the godly spirits did not have to work too hard, and they did not have to consume too much godly spirit. This way, the believers would feel that the godly spirits were by their side, and they would naturally be more devoted to the godly spirits. "Sir Godly Spirit, can you save my father?" Takemi nervously asked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly chuckled and nodded. After obtaining so much information from this young man, there was no problem in helping him. Takemi knelt on the ground in delight and said gratefully, "Thank you, Sir Godly Spirit." A trace of white faith power could be seen coming out of Takemi's body and flying toward Zhao Fu. As a commoner of the godly spirit world, his body was constantly affected by divine power. As such, he could provide more faith power than commoners from other worlds, and it was purer as well. However, as the trace of faith power floated toward Zhao Fu, it was blocked outside and dissipated, unable to fuse with Zhao Fu's body. Even though Zhao Fu had a godhood and could give off a godly spirit's aura, Zhao Fu was not an ordinary godly spirit. Not only did his godhood contain god-killing power, but he was also an emperor and had a kingdom's fate. This made it so that Zhao Fu could not absorb faith power like other ordinary godly spirits. As such, he could only choose between a godly spirit or an emperor. However, even though Zhao Fu could not absorb faith power, he could still absorb godly spirits from other godly spirits. Moreover, Zhao Fu also had his own reasons for helping Takemi, which was to establish a faction in the godly spirit world and secretly increase Qin-Qin's strength, as well as help Qin-Qin's development. Now that Qin-Qin had established a faction in the underworld, it had already been of great help to Qin Kingdom, providing more people and troops. Moreover, what Zhao Fu cared about was the Earth Book and the Human Book. Last time, when he had used the sealing, heaven-suppressing earth formation in the underworld, the Book of God had absorbed a large amount of fate and turned into the Human Book. At the same time, a portion of the Book of God had fallen into the underworld, and that portion had absorbed a large amount of underworld fate and turned into the Earth Book. If he developed his faction in the godly spirit world and activated the sealing, heaven-suppressing earth formation, the godly spirit world would most likely form the Heaven Book. When that time came, the Heaven Book, Earth Book, and Human Book would form, and perhaps the Heaven Awakened World, Underworld, and Godly Spirit World would become the Heaven, Earth, and Human worlds, and these three worlds would be controlled by Qin Kingdom. Just thinking about this made Zhao Fu feel quite excited. He had read about the legends of the Heaven, Earth, and Human worlds in the past, and perhaps there really would be a Heaven, Earth, and Human worlds created by Qin Kingdom. Of course, all of this was just Zhao Fu's guesses. When the time came, things might develop in other ways. Following this, Zhao Fu followed Takemi to Langdong City. Zhao Fu asked Takemi, "Where's the city hall?" Chapter 1855. Don't you dare. When the Jade Goddess heard this, she was infuriated and said. Zhao Fu lightly laughed, and a powerful aura exploded out from his body. He turned into a ray of light and shot towards the Jade Goddess, stabbing out with his sword. He slashed at the Jade Goddess with a streak of sword light. The Jade Goddess' expression changed, and she hurriedly took out a jade sword to defend herself. Bang! A muffled sound rang out as the Jade Goddess flew back a few meters. Her expression became quite unsightly as she found that it was indeed not Zhao Fu, the priest's opponent. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Now you understand. You're no match for me. And if you serve me, you'll get more than you can imagine. Benefits and status." The Jade Goddess snorted angrily. "Don't even think about it. I will never submit to you." Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and did not say anything else. An even more intense aura exploded out from his body and shot towards the Jade Woman. Deity rushed over and fiercely chopped at the Jade Goddess with his sword. The Jade Goddess sent all of her power into the Jade Sword, but she could only block one sword at a time. She was unable to attack Zhao Fu. Bang! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, bringing with it a massive sword energy and an intense sword wind that sent the Jade Goddess flying. To bleed from the corner of his mouth, there was a trace of blood. Boom, boom, boom. This faction's experts also arrived, and they gave off powerful auras that turned into a wild gale and spread out. After they appeared and saw that the Jade Goddess was in a bad situation, they attacked Zhao Fu and Zhao Fu. There were dozens of them, and they gave off great power as they charged towards Zhao Fu from all directions. However, with their strength, how could they be a match for Zhao Fu? The swords in their hands contained terrifying power as they ferociously slashed out. A huge wave of sword energy sent countless people flying. There were even a few who weren't able to resist at all. Their bodies were chopped into several pieces, and blood sprayed everywhere as they fell to the ground. Blood dripped from the corners of their mouths as they looked at Zhao Fu with unsightly expressions. The person in front of them was too terrifying. How could he suddenly appear? They didn't dare to recklessly attack, so they turned their gazes to the Jade Goddess. At this time, only the Jade Goddess had the strength to resist. If the rest of them rushed forward, they would most likely die. The Jade Goddess' expression was cold as a powerful, godly spirit's power exploded out, and she stretched out a hand toward Zhao Fu. Many jade granules appeared, forming jade swords. There were over 10,000 of them, and all of them gave off powerful sword energy as they shot upwards. The 10,000 jade swords formed a terrifying sword aura. The Jade Goddess stretched out her hand and pushed at Zhao Fu. Clang, clang, clang. The jade swords gave off light and gave off terrifying sword energies as they flew toward Zhao Fu. It was extremely shocking. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear. He raised the Emperor-killing sword and sent a massive wave of power into it as he muttered, "Sword, Master!" Boom! A terrifying sword chi gushed out, forming a huge storm of sword chi that wreaked havoc in the surroundings. Facing the incoming jade sword, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a massive black sword light containing shocking power slashed out, sending out Jiang Wu's sword. The jade swords were shattered, and the jade swords shot out in all directions. The jade swords also gave off immense power, and it was not something that ordinary people could defend against. The people in the surroundings all unleashed defensive barriers. Bang! 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 Many pieces of jade smashed against the defensive barrier with great force, causing loud sounds to ring out. Some of them directly shattered, while others fell to the ground. The Jade Goddess' expression was quite unsightly. She had used all of her strength to attack, but Zhao Fu had been able to break through it so easily. Just how terrifying was this man's power? Why did someone suddenly appear in her territory and even wanted to snatch her territory? Furthermore, he even wanted to be her master. Zhao Fu looked at the Jade Goddess, and the golden pupil in his left eye suddenly started to quickly spin. Clang, clang, clang. Chains containing immense power shot out from all directions towards the Jade Goddess. The Jade Goddess was shocked. She swung the jade sword in her hand and slashed out a few massive sword lights, cutting the chains into countless pieces. However, there were still quite a number of chains that shot over and bound the Jade Goddess in midair. The surrounding experts' expressions changed and they gave off powerful auras as they charged at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu casually waved his hand, and a terrifying power swept out, sending everyone flying. With a smile on his face, Zhao Fu arrived in front of the jade goddess who was tied up in midair. He stretched out his hand and lifted her chin. "Now, can you submit to me now? Otherwise, I'll have to use other methods." The jade goddess started to hesitate. Should she submit to the man in front of her? His power was too terrifying, and she was at a disadvantage. If he didn't agree, he might die here. Lord Godly Spirit. Seeing that their Lord Godly Spirit had been taken advantage of, the experts furiously rushed at Zhao Fu, wanting to slash Zhao Fu to death. "Kill him." Zhao Fu turned to look at the charging people, his eyes filled with intense killing intent. His voice was as cold as ice as he said, "If you take another step forward, I'll kill you all. I'll kill you all." Immediately, the charging people's bodies froze as they felt a chill, and they could not help but feel terrified. Zhao Fu looked at the jade goddess and smiled as he said, "What do you think? If you don't agree, I'll take action." "All right." The jade goddess was still hesitating. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and 6 terrifying waves of demonic chi flowed out, forming 6 balls of demonic chi, and an evil aura spread out. The jade goddess felt an intense sense of danger and made a decision. "All right, I agree to submit to you." Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile, but the hand with the 6 balls of demonic chi pressed against the jade goddess' abdomen. The 6 balls of demonic chi flowed into the jade goddess' body. The jade goddess felt a fiery power spread out, and she had an intense reaction. Her face became red as she cursed at Zhao Fu. "You, shameless." Zhao Fu had a trace of smile on his face as a wave of power flowed out of his palm and entered the jade goddess body, sealing the 6 desires demonic chi's power. It was sealed. The jade goddess felt the fiery power disappear, and her body returned to normal. She let out a sigh of relief, but she still felt quite angry. She said, "I've already agreed to submit to you, so why are you still treating me like this?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "That's a restriction to control you. If you don't listen, I'll make you experience how terrifying this power is." The jade goddess angrily looked at Zhao Fu, and she understood that Zhao Fu did not believe her. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and the chains binding the jade goddess were released. The jade goddess regained her freedom, and Zhao Fu brought her back to the surface. Chapter 1856. Sitting in the main hall of the city hall, Zhao Fu looked down at the jade goddess and said, "Tell me about your faction in detail." Now that Zhao Fu had gained control of this faction, he had to understand it well. He needed it to develop and expand until it became a faction like the Yellow Springs Kingdom. The jade goddess did not hide anything. After all, she had already submitted to Zhao Fu, and the faction belonged to him. In actuality, she felt quite expectant. If her faction was given to a powerful person like Zhao Fu, how would it develop in the future? Before, Zhao Fu had said that he would give her better treatment and status than she had now. Zhao Fu listened attentively to the jade goddess and found that this faction was quite weak. Just as Zhao Fu estimated, it had around 6 million people and 800,000 soldiers. Zhao Fu could easily destroy such a small faction. In the Heaven Awakened world or the underworld, there were very few godly spirit factions like this. However, the Heaven Awakened world and the underworld had fewer godly spirits, while the godly spirit world was filled with godly spirits. Because of the godly spirit world's power, it was easier to become a god here, and the residents provided more and purer faith energy. For example, the Jade Goddess faction only had 6 million or so people, but it could provide faith energy equivalent to 10 million people. Now, Zhao Fu was thinking about how to develop this faction. After this faction was developed, he would gather information and find things with time attributes. In the end, he would see if he could awaken the god race's Emperor Stream. However, this faction was simply too weak. It was quite ordinary in all aspects and did not have any special advantages. Even though the underworld's Yellow Springs kingdom had declined, it was still a legacy kingdom. After inheriting it, Zhao Fu had a good advantage and formed a specialized Yellow Springs army. Even though the Yellow Springs kingdom was not as powerful as Qin, it was more powerful than ordinary factions. This was one of the reasons why it had developed so quickly. Now, what should he do with the Jade Goddess faction? Perhaps he should find a powerful legacy and develop it more easily, as that would give him an advantage. However, where could he find a legacy? Powerful inheritances were not cabbages that could be found anywhere. At the thought of this, Zhao Fu looked at the Jade Goddess and said, "Your faction is too ordinary and has no value in developing it. Have you heard of any place where we can obtain powerful inheritances?" Hearing Zhao Fu talk about her faction like this, the Jade Goddess looked quite awkward. Zhao Fu was right. Her faction was quite ordinary. Hearing Zhao Fu ask about powerful legacies, the Jade Goddess felt quite surprised. The Jade Goddess pondered for a moment. She had stayed here for many years, but she had not heard of any powerful inheritances, so she shook her head and said, "No." Zhao Fu felt a headache coming on. Not only was this faction too ordinary, but it also did not have any powerful legacies. How was it supposed to develop? He continued to fall into deep thought. After a while, Zhao Fu looked at the Jade Goddess. The Jade Goddess was startled, not understanding why Zhao Fu was suddenly looking at her. However, she had a vague feeling that Zhao Fu had his eyes on her. Suddenly, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and a formless energy spread out, pulling the Jade Goddess into his embrace. The Jade Goddess' face became slightly red and she panically struggled to stand up. However, Zhao Fu pressed a hand against her abdomen and sent the Six Desires demonic chi into her, causing her body to become limp. Her face became red, and her eyes became watery as she lightly panted. A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he slightly raised his hand against the Jade Goddess' abdomen. A massive wave of jade godly power flowed out and into Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes, and the divinity within his mind absorbed the godly spirit's power. Soon, Zhao Fu opened his eyes. Because the Jade Goddess' divine power had been drawn out by Zhao Fu, her face was quite pale, and her body was limp in Zhao Fu's embrace. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and once again sealed the Six Desires demonic chi within the Jade Goddess body, causing her to return to normal. She glared at Zhao Fu as she said angrily, "You bastard, you took away so much of my divine power and didn't even ask for my permission before using such domineering methods." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I just wanted to test out a theory of mine. As for the divine power that I lost, I just need to absorb some faith power to recover. Also, how long have you been a godly spirit? Do you have your own legacy power?" A godly spirit's legacy power was the same as a kingdom's legacy. After accumulating for a long time, it would become a legacy power. As a new god, or a god who had just become a god, his divine power did not have the function of inheritance. Only old gods who had existed for a long time would have their own inheritance power. Others could obtain this kind of inheritance and become a god like the old god. Although the Jade Goddess looked angry and her heart was full of resentment, her body, for some reason, still enjoyed the feeling of sitting in Zhao Fu's arms. Hearing Zhao Fu's words, the Jade Goddess asked with some doubts, "You've been a god for 160 years and already have the legacy power, but it's a very ordinary god's legacy. Why are you suddenly asking this?" Zhao Fu said with a smile on his face, "Then give me a part of this legacy power." The Jade Goddess looked at him and asked, "With your strength, you shouldn't need my legacy power. Also, you seem to have a godhood. Can you still accept my legacy power?" Zhao Fu replied with a smile, "Don't worry about it. If my idea is verified, your force will obtain one of the most powerful inheritances in the god world." Hearing Zhao Fu's words, the Jade Goddess was a little incredulous because Zhao Fu had exaggerated it too much. The most powerful inheritance in the god world was shocking and admirable. How could it exist just because he said so? She asked Zhao Fu, "Is it true? Is it really that strong?" Zhao Fu nodded with a smile. Hearing this, the Jade Goddess did not continue to ask, and simply said, "Then come with me." Afterward, Zhao Fu followed the jade goddess to the temple in the city. In front of a statue carved from jade, which was 6 meters tall and looked exactly the same as the jade goddess. The jade goddess stood in front and said to Zhao Fu, "I'll start giving you legacy power, but I have to say this in advance. If you fail, you can't blame me. Also, you can't use that method to deal with me." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The jade goddess closed her eyes, and a loud roar sounded. The statue erupted with a powerful momentum and emitted a strong light. The countless power of faith of the entire force gathered here like a tide. Chapter 1857. At that moment, the jade goddess opened her eyes and stretched out a hand toward Zhao Fu. A wave of power gathered in her palm, and a formless power spread out. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the statue shot out a powerful ray of light that contained terrifying power and landed on Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu felt a massive wave of legacy godly spirit flow into his body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and focused on quickly absorbing that wave of power and condensing it into the divinity in his mind. A while later, the light from the statue dimmed and disappeared. Zhao Fu had completely absorbed the godly spirit and had successfully obtained the jade goddess legacy. Zhao Fu opened his eyes and stretched out a hand. A wave of godly power flowed out of his palm, causing some jade granules to appear in the surroundings and gather above Zhao Fu's palm, forming a green jade orb. This was the jade goddess legacy power, and after obtaining her legacy power, Zhao Fu had also grasped this type of jade power. The jade goddess looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would be able to obtain her legacy power. At the same time, she felt quite confused. Didn't Zhao Fu have a divinity as well? Wouldn't the two types of godly powers clash? Looking at Zhao Fu, the jade goddess felt that this man was not only powerful, but also quite mysterious. Suddenly, the jade goddess thought of something and asked, "Can you tell me what's going on? Why did you say that you can obtain the most powerful legacy?" Zhao Fu smiled as he explained, "My divinity is quite special and can absorb all sorts of godly spirits' power. It's quite different from what you think." Right now, Zhao Fu's idea was to create a terrifying legacy since he did not have a powerful legacy. Back then, Zhao Fu had wanted to create a pantheon temple, which was to subdue countless godly spirits for his own use. At this time, Qin only had more than 20 gods, so he didn't think too much. These gods were not easy to subdue, so the idea of the pantheon temple was simply far away. He didn't know when he would be able to build a pantheon temple. One of the main reasons was that there were very few godly spirits. There was nothing that could be done about the heaven-awakened world having very few godly spirits, but the godly spirit world was filled with godly spirits. Perhaps the Pantheon Palace could be established there. At this time, Zhao Fu's plan was to absorb the divine power and legacies of countless gods and create his own pantheon legacy. Thinking about it, with so many god-spirit legacies fused together, even an ordinary god-spirit legacy would be very terrifying when gathered together. This was why Zhao Fu said that this was one of the strongest god-spirit legacies. Moreover, with this inheritance as a foundation, it continued to expand in the divine spirit world, attracting more divine spirits to join. At that time, imagining the scene of the sky being filled with deities, one couldn't help but feel excited and shocked. However, right now, Zhao Fu had only absorbed one god-spirit legacy and had not absorbed a second god-spirit legacy yet. He wasn't 100% sure if he would be able to create the Pantheon Palace. The Jade Goddess looked at Zhao Fu in shock. It was the first time she had heard of such a thing. How could a divinity absorb the divine power of countless gods? Moreover, from Zhao Fu's aura, he didn't seem to be someone from the godly spirit world. Thinking about that, the Jade Goddess stared at Zhao Fu and asked, "Just who are you?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he replied, "You'll know in the future. That's right, if there's a godly spirit nearby who's on good terms with you, you can call her over. I don't want to go to her." The jade goddess said somewhat angrily. Don't even think about it. I've jumped into this pit of fire myself. How could I drag my good sister into it? Zhao Fu couldn't help but laugh as he said, How? Is this a pit of fire? Don't worry. After the Pantheon Palace is established, I won't mistreat you. You'll become one of the Pantheon Palace's palace masters, which will be of great help to you. Do you want to become a higher-level god spirit? Also, with your current power, you'll be easily killed by others. Are you going to refuse such a good opportunity? The Jade Goddess felt quite tempted. Everyone wanted to become stronger, as this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Even if you call your good sister over, I'll go over myself. When that time comes, your good sister will still be mine, and I'll kill many people. Those people's deaths will be for nothing. After hearing Zhao Fu's words, the Jade Goddess sank in her thoughts before nodding and saying, Treat her well, and don't treat me like you treat me, or else I'll be very angry. Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, If it's easy to subdue her, I'll try not to use force. The Jade Goddess let out a sigh of relief and said, The faction to my left is my good sister's faction. She's the Iron Goddess and has Iron God power. We've known each other for 100 years, and whenever we encounter danger, we'll band together. I'll help you call her over. Zhao Fu smiled and lightly nodded. Following this, the Jade Goddess left. Zhao Fu waited at the temple and thought of something, which was about Takami's father. As such, Zhao Fu ordered people to release his father. The Jade Goddess had long since informed him that Zhao Fu was now the ruler of this faction, and no one dared to disobey Zhao Fu's orders. Takami had never thought that the person he had brought would replace the godly spirit he believed in and become the ruler of this faction. However, he felt that he had been blessed by the godly spirit, as he had been fortunate enough to meet Zhao Fu. As such, he felt even more respectful toward Zhao Fu. He brought his father to the temple and expressed his immense gratitude toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu had given him a small opportunity, allowing him to become a minor official in the city. This made Takami feel even more grateful toward Zhao Fu. A few hours later, the Jade Goddess brought a woman to the temple. This woman had long, metallic black hair and a pair of black eyes. She was incredibly beautiful and gave off a sharp aura. She wore black armor and gave off an intense, godly spirit aura. She was most likely the Iron Goddess. The Iron Goddess's expression was cold as she looked at Zhao Fu and said, You're that person? This Iron Goddess had quite a personality, and Zhao Fu felt a trace of interest towards her. He nodded and said, The Jade Goddess should have told you everything. What do you think? Are you willing to submit to me and become one of the future temple masters of the Pantheon Temple? Boom! A massive aura exploded out from the Iron Goddess body, turning into a gale as she said coldly, Now that you've defeated me, I'll submit to you. Chapter 1858. Zhao Fu did not feel angry at all and said confidently as he smiled and said, Sure, feel free to use all your strength. The Metal Goddess said coldly, Let's go outside. It's not good to use it here. Zhao Fu nodded, and the two of them rose into the sky. The Metal Goddess power was slightly stronger than the Jade Goddess power, and she gave off a metallic sharpness, making her incredibly offensive. The Metal Goddess held an iron spear and gave off a powerful godly spirit aura as she quickly rushed in front of Zhao Fu. Her spear gave off a cold light as she vigorously stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu took out the Emperor Killing Sword and had a trace of a smile on his face. Facing the Metal Goddess spear, he casually swung his sword, sending out a sharp black sword light that slashed towards the spear. Clang! A metallic collision sound could be heard as sparks flew everywhere. The spearhead and sword collided, causing a massive gale to spread out. Zhao Fu did not move from his spot. The Metal Goddess retreated a few steps, and her expression became serious. She now understood that Zhao Fu was indeed very powerful. Boom! The Metal Goddess exploded out with her full power, and a terrifying aura spread out. With this aura, the metal goddess once again rushed at Zhao Fu and vigorously stabbed out with her spear. A massive black spear light, giving off a terrifyingly sharp aura, quickly shot toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood his ground and did not move at all. He sent some power into his sword and vigorously slashed out, causing a ferocious sword light to slash out, destroying the incoming spear light and causing black light to shoot everywhere. Suddenly, the goddess of iron and stone appeared in the sky and gripped her spear with both hands as she gave off a shocking aura as she slammed down toward Zhao Fu. A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he raised his sword and blocked the incoming spear. The metal goddess looked quite startled, as she had never thought that Zhao Fu would be able to block her attack so easily. Suddenly, the iron-stone goddess body turned into countless bits of iron sand and dissipated. However, in the next moment, she appeared beside Zhao Fu and ferociously stabbed her spear toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu didn't even spare her a glance. With a wave of his hand, a sword light slashed out, directly repelling the spear thrust by the goddess of iron and stone. The goddess of iron and stone's body dissipated into countless grains of iron sand and reappeared behind Zhao Fu, thrusting her spear at Zhao Fu again. Clang! Zhao Fu still did not look behind him and slashed behind him, sending out a sword light that repelled the iron goddess spear. After failing to hit Zhao Fu a few times, the ironstone goddess looked quite furious as she raised her spear and pointed it at Zhao Fu. Boom! The goddess of iron and stone exploded out with a powerful aura, forming a powerful gale. She gripped her spear and sent all of her power into it. The spear gave off an intense light, and a terrifying power flowed out, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. An incredibly sharp aura spread out, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. Boom! The metal goddess vigorously threw the spear in her hand toward Zhao Fu. The spear gave off an intense black light and a power that seemed to be able to pierce through everything as it shot toward Zhao Fu. It was incredibly fast and flashed past. Zhao Fu's expression did not change as he raised his sword and sent a massive wave of power into the Emperor Killing Sword, causing a terrifying sword intent to spread out. Clang! Just as the black spear was about to reach Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out with his sword. A shocking sword light slashed out. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as a powerful gale spread out. The spear, which contained immense power, was sent flying back by the sword strike, and it soon disappeared without a trace. The goddess of iron and stone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Now, she truly understood how powerful Zhao Fu was. That attack had been her full-powered attack, but had been easily blocked by Zhao Fu, unable to harm him at all. Zhao Fu raised his sword and pointed it at the goddess of iron and stone as he gave a domineering smile and said, "Do you still want to try? I'm going to attack now." The goddess of iron and stone did not hesitate and said, "No need. I'm willing to submit to you." Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he came before the goddess of iron and stretched out his hand. 6 waves of demonic qi flowed out, forming 6 magic orbs. Zhao Fu pressed against the goddess of iron and stone's body, and the 6 magic orbs quickly flew over and fused into the goddess of iron and stone's body. Immediately, the goddess of iron and stone felt a scorching power spread out, and her body intensely reacted. A trace of embarrassment appeared on her sharp face. How could it be so intense? The goddess of iron and stone felt quite panicked. Even though the Jade Goddess had told her that Zhao Fu would use a very vulgar restriction that would create that sort of feeling, the goddess of iron and stone had been prepared. However, this feeling was simply too intense. Seeing the goddess of iron and stone's red face and breathing become ragged, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and grabbed out with his hand. A formless energy sealed the 6 desires' demonic qi within the goddess of iron and stone's body. The goddess of iron and stone inwardly let out a sigh of relief. If she had not sealed that power, she most likely would have leapt into the man's embrace and done those indescribable things. Following this, the 2 of them returned to the ground, and Zhao Fu started to receive the goddess of iron and stone's legacy, divine power. The goddess of iron and stone raised her hand and gave off a powerful wave of godly spirit power. She gathered countless traces of faith energy, and the sky gave off a black light that gave off a massive metallic aura. The black light gathered together, forming a black pillar of light that gave off a powerful aura as it descended and landed on Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu felt a massive wave of power flow into his body, and he closed his eyes and started to absorb this power. However, Zhao Fu immediately discovered that something was off. The goddess of iron and stone's legacy power clashed with the jade goddess's legacy power, and the two legacies could not fuse. Zhao Fu had long since expected this, and he controlled the divinity in his mind to give off an intense black light as he used the powerful divinity's power to forcefully fuse the two legacies. Under the control of the divinity's power, the two legacies were able to fuse together without much difficulty. Zhao Fu continued to absorb the goddess of iron and stone's legacy power as he fused the two legacies. A while later, the abnormal signs in the sky disappeared, and Zhao Fu had finished absorbing the goddess of iron and stone's legacy power and fused the two legacies into a new legacy power. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and a wave of godly spirit power flowed out. Many jade and iron particles floated out and gathered together, forming a half jade and half iron orb. Chapter 1859. Now that he had fused the legacy power of two godly spirits, Zhao Fu started to build the Pantheon Palace. The first thing he needed was a legacy item. This legacy item would be the core of a faction, and the entire faction would be passed down from generation to generation. For example, Qin's legacy stone could be used to establish Qin City, which would eventually grow into the current Qin Empire. If one did not have this legacy, even if one had the corresponding imperial bloodline, the kingdom that one established would not be the Qin Empire. After all, without the corresponding legacy, one would not be able to become the Qin Empire. It could only be considered a new kingdom. The power of a new kingdom definitely would not be as great as that of a kingdom with a legacy. After all, legacies not only included culture and customs, but also the corresponding legacy power. For example, all of the Qin Empire's soldiers cultivated the Qin heart technique and had the Qin power, which could increase the soldier's strength. There was also the massive Qin kingdom fate, which could affect other people's fates. This was something that a new kingdom could not have. The Pantheon Palace that Zhao Fu wanted to establish was naturally a faction with a legacy, like the Qin Empire, not a new faction without any legacies. The Jade Goddess and Iron Goddess had both been gods for more than 160 years, and they also had legacy power. Even though they were not very powerful, their factions most likely had some legacy power. Legacies became more powerful the longer they were passed down. Zhao Fu went to the center of the Jade Goddess faction, which was the god palace that she lived in. There was a jade cube that gave off a faint light and floated in the air. Before, this was an ordinary city creation stone, but after being nourished by the Jade Goddess divine power every day and night, it had become a legacy stone with legacy power. Zhao Fu went up and stretched out a hand, and a wave of energy flowed out, covering the city creation stone. However, in the next moment, he withdrew his hand in disappointment. Originally, Zhao Fu had planned on using this legacy stone as the Pantheon Palace's legacy stone. However, he discovered that this legacy stone was too ordinary and could not be used as the Pantheon Palace's legacy. Moreover, Zhao Fu tried to fuse the godly spirit's legacy power into the legacy stone, but the legacy stone already contained legacy power, and Zhao Fu could not fuse that godly spirit's legacy power into it. If he tried to forcefully fuse it in, the legacy stone might be damaged. It seemed that he would have to find another legacy item for the Pantheon Palace, and it had to be extraordinary. It would be best if it could withstand the legacy of the Pantheon Palace, and it had to not have any legacy power. Zhao Fu began to recall if he had such an item on him, but he realized that he didn't. He had the King of Kings sword, which he did not know about. If he used it as the Pantheon Palace's legacy item, it would definitely be incredibly terrifying. However, this sword already contained terrifying legacy power, and even if Zhao Fu wanted to forcefully fuse it, he would not be able to do so. Zhao Fu did not have such an item, so he could only ask the Jade Goddesses and Iron Goddesses, "Do you have an extremely powerful item that can be used as a legacy item?" Hearing this, the Jade Goddess took out a jade statue of a soldier. It was 15 centimeters tall and looked incredibly detailed. The inscriptions on the fur and armor were very clear, and it looked incredibly lifelike, as if it was a heroic soldier. The Iron Goddess also took out an iron orb that was as big as a ball. It gave off a faint light and gave off a powerful aura. It looked quite heavy and weighed at least hundreds of kilograms. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand, and green and black energy flowed out and entered the two items. The two items started to tremble as they absorbed the legacy power that Zhao Fu sent into them. However, as Zhao Fu sent in more and more power, the two items trembled more and more. Crack! A clear sound rang out as a small crack appeared on the two items. Zhao Fu immediately stopped. It was evident that these two items could not be used as legacy items for the Pantheon Palace. Zhao Fu looked at the two goddesses and asked, "Do you have anything else?" The Jade Goddess shook her head as she replied, "Nothing else. Also, don't send in too much legacy power, just do it slowly. Perhaps it can be used as a legacy item, where you can use your legacy power to slowly nurture it." Zhao Fu immediately said, "That won't do. If I can't even withstand the legacy power of two godly spirits, how can I receive the 10,000 gods legacy in the future? I don't have that much time." The Jade Goddess did not say anything else. The Iron Goddess stood by the side and thought about what would be suitable as a legacy item. She greatly supported the establishment of the Pantheon Palace, and if the Pantheon Palace was truly established, it would be of great benefit to her. Suddenly, the Iron Goddess thought of something and said, "There's a godly spirit forbidden area nearby, and it's quite dangerous. Perhaps there's something suitable for a legacy item there." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and gave a trace of smile as he asked, "Where is that place? Take me there." The goddess of iron and stone nodded and said, "It's really dangerous inside. Ordinary gods can die inside." Zhao Fu understood and responded. After that, Zhao Fu and the two goddesses arrived in front of a wasteland. There was very little vegetation in this wasteland, and there were only some weeds and no trees. The ground was covered with purple sand, and it gave off a very dangerous aura, making people feel uncomfortable. Zhao Fu was about to enter. The two goddesses also intended to follow. Zhao Fu turned to look at them and said, "It's too dangerous inside. You guys should stay here." The Jade Goddess felt quite surprised and gave a trace of a smile. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would care about them, and she replied, "I understand. We'll wait for you here." Zhao Fu nodded and turned into a ray of light as he shot into the forbidden area. The Iron Goddess looked at the Jade Goddess with her beautiful eyes and said calmly, "Do you have feelings for him?" The Jade Goddess's face became slightly red as she smiled and said, "A bit, but I have a feeling that it's not just me, but you will also become his woman in the future." The Iron Goddess replied in disbelief, "Is that so?" The Jade Goddess stepped forward and hugged the Ironstone Goddess' arm. She smiled and whispered in the Ironstone Goddess' ear, "Of course. For example, although the power in our bodies has been sealed by him, don't you want to do it with him?" The Iron Goddess's face became red, and she felt quite embarrassed to look at the Jade Goddess. The Jade Goddess hugged the Iron Goddess's arm and gave a trace of a smile. She did not say anything and looked at the forbidden area. Chapter 1860. However, after flying for a while, Zhao Fu realized that something was off. He found that he had not flown very far and was instead flying around in circles. Zhao Fu frowned. Had he been hit by an illusion or a magic formation? Thinking about that, Zhao Fu stopped in the air and gathered a wave of energy into his left eye. A glass-like pupil opened, giving off a glass-like light. However, the scenery in front of him did not change at all. Zhao Fu had used the glass illusion eye, but he did not find anything out of the ordinary. This meant that this was not an illusion or a magic formation, or else the glass illusion, I would have sensed that something was off. However, if it was not an illusion or a magic formation, why was he flying around in circles? Zhao Fu could not understand. It seemed that he had underestimated this godly spirit forbidden area. Following this, Zhao Fu flew around a few more times before returning to his original location. By now, even if Zhao Fu wanted to leave, there was nothing he could do. What should he do now? Zhao Fu stood in the air and thought to himself with a troubled expression. Facing this situation, there was nothing he could do. Suddenly, a group of monsters appeared in front of Zhao Fu. These monsters had the upper bodies of humans, disheveled hair, and savage-looking faces. They had the lower bodies of snakes that were 4 or 5 meters long and could fly in the sky. The group of monsters looked at Zhao Fu's eyes and evilly smiled as they flew toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite delighted. He had been afraid of going around in circles in the same place. Now that he had seen this group of monsters, perhaps things would take a turn for the better. The monsters flew over to Zhao Fu and did not directly attack. Instead, they opened their mouths and sang a beautiful song. Hearing this song, Zhao Fu's consciousness became hazy and he felt quite dizzy. Zhao Fu understood that this was a hypnotic ability, so he immediately used his divine bloodline's power. His blood flowed quickly within his body and a formless energy spread out. Zhao Fu immediately became clear-headed and the dizziness disappeared. Although Zhao Fu had regained consciousness, he was not in a hurry to attack. He was waiting to see what the monsters would do. Right now, they might be the key to leaving this place. Monster and Xin saw that Zhao Fu was on the verge of fainting. Zhao Fu's body was unstable in midair, and it looked like he was about to fall to the ground. The group of monsters revealed malevolent smiles, opened their mouths, and rushed forward, wanting to divide and devour Zhao Fu. At this moment, Zhao Fu suddenly opened his eyes. A cold smile appeared on his face as the golden pupil in his left eye began to spin. Clang, clang, clang. Chains containing immense power shot out from around Zhao Fu, giving off ferocious auras as they shot towards the monsters. The monsters were shocked and hurriedly tried to escape, but they were still bound by the chains. They struggled in the air and roared, but they were unable to break free at all. There weren't many monsters in this group, only a dozen or so. Zhao Fu smiled as he came before them. As creatures of the forbidden area, they most likely had the ability to leave this place. Zhao Fu tried to communicate with them and have them take him away, and he would let them go. However, these monsters were quite unintelligent and could not understand what Zhao Fu was saying. They either wanted to run or wanted to attack Zhao Fu. Facing this situation, Zhao Fu thought about it and made the chains very thin, making them even smaller than a pinky finger. He bound the monsters' waists and did not restrict their movements. The monsters immediately ran, and the chains binding them continuously became smaller. Zhao Fu followed them along the chains, and soon they left the forbidden area. Zhao Fu wanted to kill these monsters, but he was worried that without them leading the way, he would once again fall into a cycle. However, following them was not a good idea either, as they were not running towards the inner regions of the forbidden area, while Zhao Fu was heading towards the inner regions. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu allowed the monsters to continue running. After all, with the chains binding them, none of them would be able to escape. Zhao Fu did not follow them and decided to fly by himself to see if this place was the same as before. If it was different, Zhao Fu would be able to kill those monsters, as they were completely useless. However, after trying a few times, the result was the same. He could not follow the monsters and fell into a cycle again. Zhao Fu felt quite frustrated and could only follow the chains to find the monsters. Zhao Fu followed the chains and did not fall into a loop. An hour or so later, he arrived at a gathering place for monsters. This place was in ruins, and there were some simple buildings made of stone and wood. They were quite simple and crude, and there were roughly 1,000 monsters. Seeing Zhao Fu, the group of monsters gave evil smiles and opened their mouths, giving off beautiful and pleasant songs. Zhao Fu once again felt dizzy, but following this, a powerful divine aura exploded out, turning into a wild gale that swept out, and a mite covered the surroundings. The dizziness disappeared, and Zhao Fu gave a cold smile as he looked at the monsters below. Sensing Zhao Fu's monstrous power, the countless monsters looked terrified, and some immediately ran in other directions. Zhao Fu took out the emperor-killing sword and prepared to slaughter this group of monsters. Perhaps he would be able to find something to break that cycle, and even if he could not find it, he would be able to leave a few alive. Suddenly, a voice sounded. It was the common language of the divine spirit world. "Sir Divine Spirit, please don't kill us." Zhao Fu stopped, feeling quite delighted. He had finally encountered a creature that he could communicate with. Zhao Fu looked towards the source of the voice and saw that it was an old man. Compared to the others, he looked much more normal. "Sure. However, I need you to take me to the depths of the forbidden area. If you agree, not only will I not kill you, but I can also give you some benefits." The old man's expression was somewhat serious as he said, "Sir Divine Spirit, are you here for that item?" "That item?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite delighted. There was indeed something in this forbidden area. He nodded and said, "I'm here for that item. Do you know what it is?" The old man replied, "This lowly one does not know. The depths of the forbidden area are dozens of times more dangerous than the outer regions, and this lowly one's strength is too low to go there. However, I know that because of that item's power, we became like this. We were originally ordinary people." Zhao Fu's expression became serious. That item was most likely not simple, and he said, "Then take me there. I will guarantee your safety." The old man did not hesitate and nodded, because if he did not go, everyone here would die. Chapter 1861. Roar, roar, roar. After coming to the depths of the forbidden area, it was much more dangerous here than outside. Monsters madly attacked Zhao Fu. These monsters were all sorts of wild beasts: lions, tigers, wolves, horses, and pigs. They all had one thing in common, which was that their eyes were black and their bodies were covered with scales. They all gave off evil auras. The elder followed behind Zhao Fu, and facing so many monsters, he could not help but look terrified. Zhao Fu's expression did not change at all. He held the emperor-killing sword and sent massive amounts of power into it, causing the emperor-killing sword to give off an intense sword light and a sharp sword aura. Shing, shing, shing. Zhao Fu swung the sword in his hand, sending out massive sword lights that killed countless monsters. Blood flew everywhere, and cries continuously sounded out. The ground was covered with corpses, and a dense stench of blood spread out. The elder stood behind Zhao Fu and looked at Zhao Fu's massacre in shock. It was incredibly savage. Soon, all of the beasts had been killed by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu and the elder continued onwards, going deeper and deeper. They would soon reach that thing's location. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a terrifying aura flooded out, seeming to be able to inundate everything. A 10,000-meter-long monster appeared in front of Zhao Fu. This monster had the upper body of 3 people, and they were all well-built men. They had savage expressions and had bone horns on their heads. The lower body was a snake's tail and was covered with pale white scales. Zhao Fu's expression was quite serious as he said to the elder, "Get far away for now." The elder understood that the following battle would be quite terrifying, so he obediently retreated far away. Zhao Fu had left behind restrictions within his body, so he could not run. Boom, boom, boom. The monster's 3 eyes ferociously stared at Zhao Fu. It opened its mouth, and 3 massive pale, white rays of light containing destructive power shot toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A deafening sound rang out as the 3 terrifying beams of light struck Zhao Fu. Countless pale white rays of light shot out in all directions, and rainbow-colored immortal clouds spread out. Zhao Fu did not move at all. and his eyes became rainbow-colored. A rainbow-colored magic formation appeared on his forehead, and a rainbow-colored rune circled around Zhao Fu. His body gave off rainbow-colored light and a terrifying aura, making him seem like a celestial. The monster was also stunned. The three terrifying attacks had clearly hit Zhao Fu head-on, but Zhao Fu seemed to be completely fine, easily blocking its attack. Roar! 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 The monster furiously roared 3 times and gave off a terrifying aura as it rushed in front of Zhao Fu. It threw out a few punches containing terrifying power, causing space to twist as it flew toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was expressionless as he raised the sword in his hand. A massive amount of celestial power entered the sword, causing it to become 7-colored and give off an aura flame. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out, and an enormous rainbow-colored crescent sword light containing power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything slashed out. Bang! 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 The terrifying fist energies were destroyed by the sword light, and an intense gale containing terrifying power spread out, causing countless rocks to be blown into the air. The monster's massive body was sent flying by the sword light and heavily crashed to the ground, opening up a large crater. A gash appeared on the monster's fist, and blood continuously flowed out. Roar! The monster furiously roared as it crawled up from the ground and opened its mouth. Countless traces of pale white light came out as a terrifying power spread out. The monster spat forwards. Boom! 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 Countless terrifying pale white rays of light containing shocking power shot toward Zhao Fu, giving off intense gales. The sounds they gave off were incredibly terrifying and seemed to be able to destroy everything. Zhao Fu did not move as a terrifying power exploded out from his body. A rainbow-colored aura flame appeared around Zhao Fu, and it gave off intense light as it spun with terrifying power. Bang! 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 The countless pale white rays of light were deflected by the rainbow-colored runes and hit the ground, opening up large craters and giving off massive sounds. However, they were not able to harm Zhao Fu at all. Seeing that it was unable to attack Zhao Fu, the monster furiously gave off a terrifying aura as it rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu coldly laughed and raised his sword, causing a sword light to shoot into the sky. Heaven and earth power madly gathered in the surroundings as a rainbow-colored sword formation containing terrifying power appeared, giving off intense light. A boundless sword aura covered the heavens and earth, causing countless creatures to feel terror. Zhao Fu slashed down with his sword. Boom! 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 The rainbow-colored sword formation started to spin as an aura of annihilation spread out. Terrifying sword lights containing power that seemed to be able to slash apart the heavens and earth slashed towards the incoming monster's body. The monster exploded out with all of its power, wanting to defend against the incoming sword lights. However, it was unable to stop them at all, and its body was chopped into pieces by the sword lights. Blood flew everywhere, making it look like a rain of blood. In the distance, the elder's body uncontrollably trembled. The godly spirit in front of them was simply too terrifying. After killing this monster, Zhao Fu called the elder over and continued onwards. In the end, they came to a 100,000-meter wide crater. It was deathly silent within the crater, and there was a stone spear at the center. The stone spear looked very long and simple, and it was a gray-white color. There were runes on the surface of the spear, and the end of the spear was rhombus-shaped. It gave off an extremely evil power that could cause people's bodies to feel a chill. Sensing that this stone spear was extraordinary, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and prepared to go up and pull it out. The elder kindly reminded him, "Lord, godly spirit, that stone spear is extremely dangerous. Everything here was caused by that stone spear." The elder kindly reminded him, "Lord, godly spirit, that stone spear is extremely dangerous. Everything here was caused by that stone spear." Zhao Fu nodded and entered the crater. He came before the stone spear and stretched out a hand and grabbed the spear. An extremely evil power madly flowed out of the spear and entered Zhao Fu's body. It wanted to make Zhao Fu mutate. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu exploded out with all of his divine bloodline's power. A black blood-red flame erupted around his body, forming an intense gale. Zhao Fu's divine bloodline's power blocked the evil power, and Zhao Fu sent his divine bloodline's power into the spear to suppress the evil power before vigorously pulling it out. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as a pale white light containing terrifying power rushed into the sky. A terrifying shockwave spread out, causing the heavens and earth to dim and clouds to swirl. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.